Mike says, we're hot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm hot. He's not.
No, he's not. He's getting that way here pretty darn quick.
From Studio A at the world-famous Sugar Shack in Texas, USA, it's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Mitch Schurer, CEO of Drive Down. We'll also have the upcoming events calendar. Mr. Mars reviews the Chrysler Pacifica minivan. It's not mini anymore, but I guess they still call it that. Plus, you'll hear the stories making automotive news headlines. And then also at the bottom of the hour, we talk about high schoolers and solar cars. They got some sort of competition going on. We're going to find out about that.
Yeah.
We got all sorts of stuff coming up for you in the next 3 hours on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy and a good Saturday morning to you for our live broadcast and our live broadcast viewers and listeners. Joining us at the dais this morning is Mike Out of This World Mars. Can't get his computer working, a brand new computer. And then we have over
an outer net because his internet don't work.
Yeah, his internet don't work. So we're on the outer net. We have over here King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. And I'm George Goebel.
There you go, George.
What did George do?
George was an actor.
Wasn't he in Hollywood Squares and Castler?
I know, but
that's retirement
what
side.
got him there? That's what I want to
He
know.
was related to somebody.
We don't really care because this is a car show, but I just came up with the name.
Yeah, there you go. George.
Think about it, though. Betty White was also on all of that stuff at the same time.
That was like before they all retired. George Goebel was an actor of some sort.
I think he was an actor on the radio or had a radio show
like that,
back in the radio days.
I think he had a car talk show.
The George Goebel Car Talk Show. At any rate, thank you for joining us today. We were going to have Mitch Schurer, but he's not joining us at the moment because Mr. Mars' brand new computer can't hook up to the internet now. When we were not on the air,
everything worked.
Everything worked just fine.
Man, it was
but
blowing and going.
The ghosts of the Mars mess
of the Sugar Shack
here at the Sugar Shack took over, and it ain't happening. Anyway.
The spirits of the Sugar Shack.
Spirits of the Sugar Shack. I like it. It has it has some sort of alcohol kind of
sugar spirits.
Kind of a little lean in it.
You gotta be careful your sugar, content, sugar intake. Be careful.
So this week, I finally said goodbye to the Kia EV6, which I'll review in real, but later on. But the Kia EV6, wow!
You liked it?
Car. Oh my God! It. Let me see. Let me give you the price of that.
And I didn't hear you fuss much about charging.
No, I didn't. And I did not have a charger. The car did not come with a plug-in-the-house 110-volt charger. It didn't come with one. I even emailed up north where they take care of the press cars. They said, "Oh, we don't have one. Car doesn't have one. You have to take it to a charging
Whole
station."
Foods or whoever.
Yeah, and that's what I did, which has a double story. So I took it up there and charged it for 30 minutes, and it got up to 80%.
And bought a lasagna.
Pardon me?
And bought a lasagna while you were there.
I did not buy a lasagna, but I'll tell you what. I'm not used to all of the earthy things that they have at Whole Foods. And they have brands that I never even knew existed. But almost all of the stuff that they have there.
Organic.
And like potato chips, twice as expensive as HEB.
That's the organic way.
So I looked up Whole Foods. And I said, how much more is Whole Foods than a regular grocery store?
40%.
And they said 20% on the review on the phone. Show me something that's only 20% more than the HEB that I go to. I couldn't find it. Maybe it's hidden in the back somewhere, but at any rate. So I had a wonderful experience. I went up and down all of the aisles and looked to see what they had. And it's a very different kind of grocery store.
Spend any money?
Not a dime. Other than
the
charging station, which I think cost me for 30 minutes, it was like $8.
But that gave you an 80% charge.
80% charge.
Which is good for 200 miles?
Yeah, about. And I plugged it in at work during the day when I was there. well, 110 volt thing,
How'd you plug it in if you didn't have a plug-in charger?
because the
They
chart
have one.
they have that's what comes with at work. It has a cord that you pull out of the machine and you stick it in your car.
So it's got the USCI
At work,
plug-in.
not on the
At
car.
work, right?
Yeah.
Not the Tesla plug.
Not the Tesla, although they have a Tesla plug
Adapter.
next to it. Yeah, but that's all going to go away. It's all going to be a Tesla plug eventually.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last week. on the
Correct.
show.
We did. Yeah, we did. So at any rate, Mr. Mars, do we have our guest?
We got
Yes,
a
sir.
guy.
We got a guy.
We got a guy.
We got a guy.
I know Is it going to work this time? Thank you, Conrad.
Could you pull your
Yeah.
microphone a little bit? Everybody adjust their
because-
microphones. Because, we've only been doing this show for 11, 12 years now. And every time, everybody, I have to tell them, could you put the microphone where it's like up to your mouth instead of your neck?
We're not broadcast
All
Hall of
right. Yeah,
Famers
yeah,
like you
Yeah,
are.
yeah. So my guest right now is, his name is,
You forgot.
I forgot.
He's gotta go
His
back.
name is Mitch Scher. And Mitch is the CEO of a company called Drive Down. Good morning, Mitch. How are you, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, I'm sorry for the
Success.
introduction there. It was it's a confusing kind of morning. There was a lot of drinking done by all of us last night, so you just have to put up with it. I hope you understand.
How about you?
Sounds good.
How was your night last night?
It was good.
Did you get
complain.
out and rebel rouse and carouse?
A little bit.
A little bit. That's good. Okay. Good answer. So, Mitch, I'm going to let you explain the company that you've created called Drive Down. You're the CEO of the company. And so what exactly is Drive Down?
So, Drive Down is a curated automotive marketplace for enthusiasts and collector cars. That's the short way of saying it. But yeah, basically, it's just a place to buy and sell your enthusiast car where it has built-in negotiation, and the biggest thing is it saves you time. I'm a dentist by trade, and I collect cars, and I was trying to buy and sell cars as a hobby while practicing dentistry, and I just realized how much time it took trying to sell it privately on Auto Trader and even auctions and Facebook Marketplace. And the biggest thing is you list a car, and then you get 50 responses saying, is it still available? Then you answer all those responses, and half of them just don't answer again, and then half of them just lowball you. And it's just a bunch of tire kickers and time wasters is what I always say. So I try to think of a way to make a company that could get rid of that. And I know every other company says like, okay, like hassle-free and all that good stuff. But how ours works is you submit a car, we review it and see if it's a good fit for the marketing we do in our platform. And then if we accept it, we agree on a reserve price with the seller. That reserve price is the 7th day price. And how ours works is it's kind of a reverse Dutch auction style. So it starts at a high price, and then each day it drops until someone buys it for 7 days. So it'll hit that reserve and then it stops. So you can buy it today for the high price, or you can wait till tomorrow and it's a lower price, but you risk missing out on it. So instead of people being able to say, hey, would you take, say it's listed at $50,000, like, hey, would you take $45,000? Instead of just saying yes, you can say, hey, sure, but you have to wait 5 days and someone else might buy it before you. So it's kind of just an accelerated, very transparent, built-in negotiation.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So what is the difference between what you've got at Drive Down and, say, Hemmings? Because Hemmings has a marketplace. So give me the difference.
So some of those big marketplaces and auctions, so auctions are totally different, and there's issues we've seen with that. I mean, some of the big auction places like Bring a Trailer, it takes 8 to 10 weeks to even get on there. And people are trying to sell their car quicker than that. And also with auctions, you have to have at least 2 people in the room during those last 2 minutes. If you don't, then it's not going to get bid up. And then also they all have anti-sniping. So what happens is if you bid in the last 2 minutes, it keeps adding 2 minutes and everyone waits till the end. So there have been times where I wanted to bid on a car and say it ends at 2:30, and I'm like, perfect, that's right between two of my patients. It's all of a sudden 3:15, and the auction's still going because everyone's just waiting to the last second to bid because they want other people to have to go see a patient, have to get on a plane, have to go to a meeting.
Which is kind of the eBay way of doing things. I've bought stuff on eBay, and I'm one of those that waits till the last minute, makes that last bid.
So Mitch, when you said that this is discounted, the 7 days is the maximum price. Is there a percentage per day in those 7 days that it drops in price, or is it just a number?
Yeah, so it's tiered. Basically, for a round of $50,000 car, it's $1,000 a day. For $25,000 car, it's around $750 a day. For $75,000 car, it's around $1,250 a day. $100,000, $1,500, and so on.
Okay.
You got kind of like an algorithm or something that calculates whatever percentages you've built into it.
Correct. And it's all transparent. It shows a price bar right below the main pictures, and it shows and so the cool thing is, hey, if something's listed at 50 and it's going to get down to 45, and if 45 is something you can afford, then you're going to watch that car. And then we also have what's called a proxy offer. So you can kind of put in an offer and set it and forget it. So say you're only willing to pay 45, but you don't want to be at your computer at 4 p.m. in 5 days when it drops to that, if it does. So you can put in a proxy offer for 45 now, and then if it gets to that price, it'll automatically trigger, and you'll get the car without having to be at your computer. So again, it's saving you time. You don't have to be at your computer the whole time, and it's all built in.
What if there's multiple proxies? Say there's three of us that say, yeah, well, I'll buy that car at 45 if it gets down to that. Is there a way to differentiate between those three?
Yes. So you can there's tie breaking. So you can actually put in a proxy offer for $45,001. You can put it for $45,010. So price is the trumps everything. But then if there's two people with exactly 45,000, it's first come, first serve. So the computer just knows.
It knows what date it came in.
I got you.
That makes sense. So if I look at it at that $50,000 car, basically I know it's not going to go any higher.
But you can. So we've had two cars that people put in proxy offers above the first day price because it was something that was priced very well. They wanted it. It was in their location in their city. And they were like, these don't come through my city much. I'm going to just put in a proxy offer for above that first day price. Well, it starts in coming soon, by the way. There's a couple of days before it actually goes live. So in coming soon, you can put in a proxy offer for any amount above the 7th day price, including a price above the first day price.
So that $50,000 car, I decide I want that, and I'm willing to pay 55, and I put in the offer when the coming soon, or so when the process starts, I'm already setting at 55. Is that going to look at me first?
No, so it won't trigger until it starts and hits that 50, because it won't know. I mean, we want everyone to be able to put in an offer first. So you just have to put in your highest and best. You shouldn't have to worry, deal with other people. It's just whatever you're willing to pay and wouldn't be upset losing it for. That's what you put in.
Right. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
If you put in a $55,000 offer and someone else put in a $55,000 and 50 offer and wins the car, I mean, hopefully you won't be upset because we want you to put in your best offer.
So the process is going to start for a certain amount of time, no matter what.
You mean before, in coming soon?
Well, no, okay, so I put in the $55,000 offer, and then during the coming soon, whenever you accept the proxies. So when the auction, I hate to use the term auction because it doesn't sound like an auction.
Yeah, no, we don't say auction or bid anywhere on our site.
So what do you call it? Just a listing. Listing. Okay, so
it's called a listing. Yeah.
So the listing goes live and starts its 7-day countdown process. So at what point does the process say, okay, I've got a guy out here that's willing to get 55 for a $50,000 car?
Right when it hits 50. So that first day, anytime you trigger, anytime a price is triggered below your proxy is triggered. So if you have 55, then once it hits 50 on that first day, it's going to trigger.
Okay. And then that closes the listing at that point?
Done. Okay. It takes it literally, takes it away, moves it to past listings and says it's purchased.
That one's sold. That one's gone. So the listing may only be up there for a day if there's
Correct.
something. Okay, that's what I was wondering about.
Or less than.
Yeah, so that's another cool thing. We can get your listing on. If you send us a car and pictures, we can have it in coming soon the next day. And then we like to have it in coming soon for 2 to 3 days so we can market it and make sure we have the full audience for that first day. So you could potentially have your car sold in 4 days from the day you send us stuff, as opposed to the competitors where it could be months. And again, you have no control and you need twice the buyer pool because again, you need at least two people in the room at the same time. Ours, you need one person that either wants the car or is afraid of someone else buying the car. And the fear of missing out.
And how do you make your money?
How do we make our money?
Yeah.
So it's the industry standard of these online auction places and marketplaces. We charge a 5% buyer's fee. So if the car is $50,000, it's going to, when you click buy now, it's going to say that it's going to charge you $2,500 on your credit card. And then you owe the $50,000 directly to the seller.
So
we don't charge the seller anything.
Your profits come from the seller or from the buyer, not from the seller.
Correct. Okay. Which is the industry standard. So like Bring a Trailer, P-Car Market, all of them, Cars and Bids, they all just charge the buyer. They also charge the seller a little bit, but we want to make it free for sellers and make it a no-brainer. It's like, why would you ever try to sell your car yourself when you have to deal with all this, when we think we can get you that incremental value higher than the 5% because of our marketing channels and sponsorships, and plus all the work for you.
And how picky are you? Not picky, but how selective are you about what you'll accept for your
for sale?
Sale.
So it's more what we think that our marketing can help. So it depends. I mean, so like a 5-year-old F-150. Great car, but we don't think we have the correct audience to really add value to it. So something like that wouldn't be great. But any BMW M car, any Porsche,
a C5 Corvette.
Yeah, any Corvette. It could be Miatas. Anything that's like kind of there's a cult following for.
You're not really going to find it on the dealer's lot all the time, very often, in other words.
Yeah, I'm on the site, and you've got an MGBG or an MGB listed on there, which I think is kind of cool.
So with this being, Mike's talking pricing, so if it's a $55,000 vehicle and you have to pay a percentage of that as the buyer, it's advantageous to wait those days because you only got 55. Have that price drop, you pay your percentage on the credit card, but you're still within your own budget of that 55. Makes sense?
But the hope is that, well, not the hope for that person, but the hope for the seller and us is that it sells
quickly.
Yeah. So someone else might think it's worth 57. Mm-hmm. Is that what you're saying? Like if 55 was towards the end?
Right.
Yeah. So you have to worry about other people seeing the value higher than that.
Yeah. And somebody's going to buy it out from under you.
Well, I was thinking the percentage.
At the end of the day, the concept of submitting a car, us accepting it, charging the buyer's fee, that's already out there. Mm-hmm. Like our competitors already have that. And then as far as price dropping, it's the same as a dealership. It's the same as a house.
Right.
A dealership lists a car for $50,000, but after 2 weeks, they finally lower the price if it didn't sell. So both things are already very proven concepts historically. And we just are the first ones to actually mesh them together and just create something that, again, we think is disrupting the market. And I mean, we're new, but it's working. And
different way of packaging it.
So it's drivedowncars.com?
Correct.
Drivedowncars.com. And are you located in Cleveland?
Yes.
That's Cleveland, Ohio, not Cleveland, Texas. So I've got a toothache, and I was thinking maybe I could stop by later on, maybe in the week sometime, and you could take a look at it.
Do you give discounts? You buy from us, you get a free cleaning or something, or?
Sure.
Well, think about this. While he's doing the root canal, he's thinking about some guy's 911 he's selling on
That's exactly.
Yeah. So we had a lot of local press, and like a lot of my patients came in that next week. They're like, "Oh, we saw you're in the paper, and we saw you on Cleveland.com." I'm like, "Yep, that's me."
Well, now you can say you've been on InWheelTime.com.
And then you say, "Hey, you got a cool car you want to sell?"
Yeah. It was like the article's name was like Northeast Ohio dentist like figures out a new way to sell cars.
There you go.
Yeah,
well, my daughter and my daughter-in-law are in.
Okay, so what is the favorite car in your collection at home in the garage?
I have a 997.1 Porsche GT3.
Oh, fun car.
Yeah. Well, dentistry been real good to me. Apparently so. Mitch, it's great to talk to you, my friend. Thank you so much, and best of luck on this. And what we'd like to do is, and maybe around Christmas time, let's call you again and see how things are going.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I've posted your site up on our social media.
All right, Mitch.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Spending your Saturday morning with us. We appreciate you,
second
sir.
Saturday.
And we'll talk to you.
Round two. Round two.
Yeah,
second time's a charm, guys.
That's exactly right. Thanks again, man. All right, Mitch.
What a great idea.
Interesting.
I like that better than eBay. Plus, you can use your credit card to hold it.
Well, yeah, you credit card to
I mean,
ensure
I think when
pay.
you bid, you're committed.
Yeah, but if you put in the higher price deal and you got to pay your buyer's fee, you can do that with a credit card.
Yeah.
So boom, you're done. You don't have to worry,
Yeah,
and it's immediate.
Oh, and I was going to ask and didn't. Maybe we can ask him next time we have on. Does he have financing available through his? Well,
that would be
site?
for the seller.
I didn't see it on the site. Yeah, no,
He's just a mediator.
No, I understand that, but is that is there,
I'm sure he could direct you to his local bank.
Does he have?
At any rate. Okay, let's move on, shall we? Mr. Mars has a review this hour of the Chrysler Pacifica, which I didn't even know that they were still making the Chrysler Pacifica. I haven't had one in the press fleet in years, and Mars gets it.
Well, it's been a while since I got one, too, and I was surprised to find out how many other manufacturers still have one as far as the 2023 model goes, that you just don't hear about them anymore. Of course, everything's SUVs and EVs. But so Chrysler still does produce the Pacifica minivan 2023 model. It comes in 4 trim levels. You can get the Touring, which is the base, but you can only get that in an ICE engine, a regular powertrain. The Touring L, the Limited, and the Pinnacle, you can opt up to a hybrid. And we happen to have the hybrid Pinnacle model. Now, one little note here. We were talking about, didn't know they sold 15 million Pacificas since 1980, or 15 million minivans since 1983. Chrysler has.
Yeah, well,
that's a heck of a lot of minivans. But anyway, so this is the minivan. You can rig it to run 6 to 8 passengers, depending on how you situate the seats on it. We happen to have the 6 passenger. We had the second row bucket seats. And on the outside of this is the Pinnacle. So it's got the trim or the vents fillers that you find on the grills. They're all painted a gloss black with nice chrome trim rings around them. Looks really nice. This one came in the optional velvet red pearl paint we were talking about, Jeff. That's the color my mother's decided she wants to paint her van. Front, you're going to buy LED lighting all the way around it. Got a dual panoramic sunroof. Hands-free sliding doors and a lift gate. And it rolls on some nice 18-inch polished aluminum wheels.
I think your mom, it'd probably be cheaper for her to buy one of these than it would be to paint her.
We're not going to repaint her 2002 Honda minivan.
Please continue on and pay no attention to him.
On the interior, you're going to find, we had the Napa leather interior in the caramel color. Front bucket seats are heated and ventilated. Second row had bucket seats in it. Third row is a folding. And it's all part of the stow and go seating where everything folds down into the floor on the second and third row. Gives you a nice flat surface there. Flat surface. We had the 10.1-inch Uconnect screen in the middle of it. And that's where you're going to find all your nav controls, your convenience controls, your 360-degree surround view camera, as well as the Uconnect Theater, which has streaming apps in it, such as Amazon Fire TV and Alexa. Going down the road, you can do all this stuff. We has the family camera in it because this is a family type vehicle. 20 Harman Kardon speaker system. The Bluetooth on it, I wanted to note, is you can actually hook 2 phones to the Bluetooth at the same time, which I found was very unusual. Now, to make all this stuff go down the road, you got to have a 3.6 liter V6 hybrid engine or powertrain up underneath the hood. And it's backed by an EVT, which is their version of a CVT, electronic transmission. Now, the EPA says you should be looking for about 30 miles to the gallon combined in this vehicle on gas only. However, we have the hybrid, and I got 26.3 miles per gallon over 367.9 miles. Now, that's 62.4 miles of that was EV only. So the computer around town and stuff, it jumps from gas to battery back and forth. So it did about 62 miles of that. So overall, you should be getting at about 82 miles to the gallon between the EV and the gas, and that's a 500-mile range. Pack the family up, and you can go for 500 miles without stopping if you want to.
Is this a plug-in hybrid?
This is a plug-in hybrid. And it is a great people hauler. You know, loaded up with people, moved across the country. It's got all kinds of technology in it. The screens on the back of the front passengers and the back of the driver's seat. So the second row passengers have got video screens and they've got connectivity. This is a family vehicle if you're looking for something to go across country, and it's very nice if you're using it for other purposes. Now, the base model price on one of these is a $37,270. I mean, you can get into a Chrysler Pacifica at that price level, but if you want to step up into the Pinnacle, which is the higher priced trim level, base model on that's $59,995. Now, the as-tested price with all the few little options that we had, including the beautiful paint, $62,085 MSRP. So if you're looking for something to compare that to, you might look at the Kia Carnival, which baselines out at $34,565. The Toyota Sienna, $38,220, and the Honda Odyssey at $38,835. So there's several more that you can look at if you're looking for a minivan. And if you're looking for something to take the kids on vacation, take the family out, this is still one of the best, in my opinion, type of vehicles that you can get. And the Chrysler has got one of the biggest feature packages, I believe, than the others.
Versatile.
Yeah. Did you have a lot to drink last night?
Not enough, apparently.
Apparently. Well, no, he's still all amped up about his new computer over there.
New computer.
Mike's a minivan kind of guy.
Well, I think, didn't you just come back from the White House this past week?
I was up there. Yeah, I was up there a couple of weeks ago. No, we had a minivan that we put
laying a few lines down,
so to speak.
Yeah.
Thank you. The N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for N-Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and NWheelTime.com. 30-minute podcasts at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets around. The N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on N-Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupe's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupe Tortilla. Lupe Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupe Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the N-Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, we're going to talk to Dr. Lehman Marks with solar cars and the Solar Car Challenge. We've got that coming up. Later, we're going to have some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week. And right off the top here, we're going to talk to Conrad about the events calendar. Not the cruise-in calendar, but the events calendar. Mm-hmm. He gets those mixed up sometimes.
Yeah. So,
howdy, along with Mike out of this world, Mars King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zeke, and I'm Don Armstrong. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday in our live broadcast here. We really appreciate you.
Our own version of, what was
Kardashians?
No,
Duck Soup.
Lynn. What was Paul Lynn?
Paul Lind.
Oh, that's Hollywood Squares?
From Hollywood Squares.
That guy was
the center square. He was out of control.
But so funny.
Yes.
Most definitely. Okay. So as we wait on our solar production car magnate, Mr. Lehman Marks, we're going to talk to Conrad about the events calendar, stuff that's coming up.
So next weekend is the Texas Road to Revolution cruise, starting at the Black Bear Diner in Humble, Texas. And they're going to head out of there about 8 o'clock in the morning.
That's a cruise, not a cruise in.
Right. And they're going to cruise through East Texas, the Piney Woods and stuff.
Man, that sounds good.
Should be a fun little drive. Mm-hmm. And then Saturday, October 8th, Turbo Fest in Waco, Texas.
That's a play on words.
It's a good play on words. You know, everybody's always looking for their creative way to call what they're doing automotive. Turbo Fest. And that's at Kareem Shriners Hall in Waco, Texas, on the 28th from 12 to 5 p.m.
Do you hear that, George? Just a hop, skip, and a
George is on.
Just down the road from you.
Yep, just hop, skip. Anyway, go ahead.
That's it. Back to you, Don.
Cool.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, high schoolers are going to be taking off next week for the 2023 Solar Car Challenge. And joining us now is Dr. Lehman Marks, and he's kind of heading the thing up. Good morning, Dr. Marks.
Good morning, everyone. How are you?
Well, we're very good, thank you. It's a little hot here in Houston, Texas. Where are you located?
Well, I'm in Plano, and I actually have 6 of my interns working with me this morning to load trailers in preparation for the race. So they're sort of delighted that I have a chance to get off and visit with you guys, because they can sit down and rest a bit. So a lot of people a favor this morning.
Yeah, well, listen, I know that it's going to be hot up there in Plano as well. But in the meantime, you got another hot topic coming up in the Solar Car Challenge. Explain to everybody what exactly that entails.
The Solar Car Challenge is a top-level project-based STEM initiative designed to motivate kids in science and engineering and alternative energy. And we do this by teaching them how to build a roadworthy solar car. I mean, what is it like to go to a kid and say, hey, don't you want to build a car? Don't you want to power it by the sun? Don't you want to drive it at a world-class NASCAR facility or go cross-country? That's what we're doing this summer. We're going from Fort Worth on the 16th to Palmdale, California, getting there on the 25th. I think I should have some stickers to put on the car saying California or bust, like the old days.
Yeah, you're the only people that are headed towards
Back
California.
to California.
Everybody else is headed out of California.
Maybe,
That's why-
maybe we
that's
should have
why-
started it in California and brought them all to Texas
Yeah.
because they're moving here anyway.
Well, let me add that it's, they're building cars, but what we're doing is we're building young engineers and scientists. That is our goal. We've seen technology improve over the 30 years that we've been doing this, but every year we get a whole fresh batch of new kids.
Yeah.
And I get to see the excitement that they have from this learning commitment and dedication. And they have some successes and some failures, but they learn to pick themselves back up again. And that's huge. That makes a big difference in life.
Well, I will tell you this. My youngest daughter, who's now 30, she's an astrophysicist, and she got going early on in high school, the STEM thing, and she was headed into the robotics thing, and they won the state championship and all of that sort of stuff. So I take great pride in the fact that she was inspired by her teacher there in high school, and you seem like one of those kind of guys that everybody wants to be in your class and use your expertise and guidance and making such a great thing.
Impact.
And an actual car. Are you working on one car? Are you working on several cars? How does your program work?
We have 261 teams in 38 states.
Wow.
And it started off this year with 100 schools trying to build and get ready for the summer's race. 22 registered. I suspect we'll end up with 18 cars on the race because they won't all pass qualifying. There's not a kit. We have an extensive set of guidelines. We bring the kids in, the teachers in, and we do instructional workshops. And then we do mentoring and on-site visits, and we have all kinds of virtual things. And we teach them that there's no one solution to a problem. And that sort of excites them because they look at the other cars and they say, well, I can do that, or I can do better than that, or hey, we need to bootstrap up our car. So there should be 18 cars going with us cross country.
Now, are you in
Like
charge?
herding cats.
Are you in charge of all 18, 22 teams, or do you have a team that you've entered yourself?
I have 46 volunteers who work with me to make this happen.
Wow.
Okay, I got you.
We're actually have 8 vehicles ourselves that are going along to make sure that everything's okay. We have an advanced team that goes out about 2 or 3 hours ahead of the race. We have vans for extra judges. We have a security team. We have an emergency medical group. We have a truck carrying 450 cases of water for everybody. So we take good care of them.
Yeah, chase
The thing that
vehicles.
really impressed me is that the towns this year really are excited to see us come back. Every town that we go through, Snyder, Texas, Carlsbad, El Paso, Florence, Arizona, Phoenix, Wickenburg, 29 Palms, and Palmdale, they all are so excited that we're going to be there. And we like it because, yeah, the kids get to show off things, but we get to inspire. I think that's one of the best things we do. We're going to pass about 200,000 kids along the way. And if you've got a moment for a story, we were doing a race in New York in 2007, pulled out onto this grassy field, and the drivers were getting out of the car, and they were mobbed by 800 or 900 kids who went up and were just touching them, sort of like the film Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yes.
When all the aliens come out and they start manhandling Richard Dreyfuss to get him up there. Well, they were doing that. And I went over to one of these kids and I said, why are you doing this? And this young kid, maybe 10 or 11, looked at me and he said, because they're astronauts. And it dawned on me that what we were really doing was, yeah, we helped the kids who were taking part in the project, but we're creating dreams in the minds of all the kids of all ages who see us along the way. So
Yeah.
that's one of our missions.
Now, I wonder where that 9 or 10-year-old is today if they found a program that they can get involved in their local area.
Right.
I don't know, but we've had a number of teams from Illinois that were right around there. So maybe so. I would like to think that would be the case.
Now, are you a doctor of education?
Say again?
Are you a doctor of education?
No, I'm a doctor of law. I have taught law school.
Oh.
But I've also taught sciences for the 30 years too. And engineering, and I just enjoy working with young people. But no, my doctorate's in law.
Interesting. So what do one of these cars look like?
Oh, they're exciting. Everybody looks a little bit different. The newer teams who are using less expensive solar cells and less expensive motors generally will build a carriage with the solar car above them so that they can enjoy the shade. And when you do that, then you don't have to worry about controlling the power. It's all on one level, and you can easily control it with a power tracker. As they become more advanced, then these teams start taking on some really sophisticated aerodynamic configurations, looking very much like the college and corporate vehicles that are taking part in the World Solar Challenge in Australia in October. And we're talking about some really sleek things. I wish I had, if you can see behind me at my picture here,
Yes.
you can see some of these cars. This is from a preceding race, and they all look a little bit different, but as the team develops over a few years, then they really want to become more aerodynamic.
Is the surface of the solar cells, are they all pretty much standardized for these kids?
It depends on what they can afford. We teach the kids how to develop a plan, a budget, how to fundraise, and based upon what they can raise is sort of what they can spend on the solar cells. Today, with the technology, our most basic teams are running about 22% efficiency or less. You can add a more efficient solar cell, but it's about 4 times the price, and that'll take you up to 24 or 25% efficiency.
So really the gain is not all that great, but I guess it gives you a little bit of an advantage.
Right. They all pretty much have about the same area of solar coverage they can do. So it's how efficient you make your car, how much you are able to use that energy coming in, how to use it wisely. They call solar car driving the brain sport. And the reason for that is the driver should have the least to do with how the cars run. You should have a chase vehicle that has a strategy team that's able to get information from the car by telemetry. And they know how much sun's coming in. They know how much the motor is pulling out of the batteries to run the car. And they can then, using their statistics, tell the driver how fast to drive. And then they also should be aware of the weather up ahead, so they know if you've got clouds, then go fast until you find the sun. And then when you got the sun, slow down so that you can be able to get your batteries recharged again.
You indicated that it's a race. Now, is it a race for just completing the travel, or is it for speed as well?
Is it time and distance scored?
The teams that accrue the most miles over the 8 days of the race are declared winners.
Oh.
And we have 5 divisions. So in the classic division, you could be a winner. The advanced classic, the advanced. We have a electric solar powered division, and our new cruiser division this year that holds 4 people.
Wow.
A party.
So that's going to be interesting to see going cross country.
So are the teams allowed to get sponsorship to support the cost of building the car?
Absolutely. Yeah. We want them to, because as a byproduct of this program, we want the kids to learn how to talk about it. My philosophy is, if you can't talk about it, you shouldn't be doing it.
And learn the business side of it.
Learn how to stick out your hand, shake somebody's hand, look them square in the eye, and say, I need your support.
Yeah, I need $5,000
or more.
Right.
Well, I was an engineer at General Motors, and I remember way back you would mention the World Challenge, and I think GM won the first one with that, for lack of a better phrase, a cockroach-looking solar-powered vehicle.
I remember that, yeah.
And I remember talking to a couple of the people that were involved in it, and they said it's as much about rolling and wind resistance as it is about solar, because the solar generates the power, but the power is needed to overcome the rolling resistance of the vehicle and the wind resistance of the vehicle as well. So you got to find that balance of how much power do you burn and how can you reserve it because your rolling resistance is so low. So there's a lot of physics engineering that comes into this besides just the solar engineering part of it.
Absolutely. That's why in our workshops we teach mechanical engineering and electrical engineering and battery technology and aerodynamics. And we spent a lot of time talking about rolling resistance and how you reduce that resistance from the airflow going across your car. Now, of course, if you're a brand new team, you're just lucky to be able to get things put together. But then they begin to realize this could be more sophisticated. And you get some teams doing some really remarkable things, but they learn the good science in it. You're right. The physics in this is really important. And I guess you might say one of the reasons why I started this thing was that I found that my kids in classrooms couldn't relate to what they were learning in the textbooks. So if I could give them something to do with a hands-on, then it would make a huge difference. So some friends at the University of North Texas in Denton was building a solar car in 1990, and they invited us up to come see it. So I took 7 kids up there, and all the way back to Dallas, they kept on saying, "Can't we build a car? Can't we build a car?" Now, there were no high school solar cars then.
How
So
cool.
my wife says, this was the worst decision I ever made. I turned around and said, okay, we're going to build a solar car. So we followed at that time they called it the Sun Race, and that was sponsored by GM and the U.S. Department of Energy. It went from Arlington, Texas to Minneapolis. And we realized that there's no way that high schools were going to be able to compete with colleges or with big corporations. So that's why we started our education program in 93. And we had our first national event in 1995. Only 3 cars in the first event. One from California, Irvine, California, one from Missouri, and one from Dallas. Since then, we've worked with now about 75,000 kids doing it.
And these are kids like 16, 17 years old. Boys,
16, 17,
boys and girls.
Right. Interestingly, 48% girls, 52% boys. And we are so balanced with the kids taking part here. I've got some great stats if you want to hear it.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. White, 35%. Blacks, 19%. Hispanic, 28%. Asian, 12%. Native American, 6%.
Wow.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Yeah,
No.
good cross
Nice
section.
diverse group.
Yeah.
Oh, you hear my critic here as my dog, Cindy. Hutch. Sorry.
How many
He gets
canines?
getting worse in the right.
No canines.
Well, he actually is the official dog of the race, and he goes with me. And when the kids are having problems, he sort of soothes them a little bit.
I got you.
He's the therapy dog.
That's right. That's right.
Yep. So I assume that there's going to be some sort of internet coverage. I'm just guessing. Yeah, you
Yes, if-
probably get news coverage, but that's spotty to say the least. But how can we follow? How can we follow you online?
If you go to our webpage, www.solarcarchallenge.org, then we will have a link on there on our webpage where you can see in real time where all the cars are. Each team has a judge. Each judge has a GPS system. So we know where the judge is. We know where the solar car is. And so we can keep track of the cars that way. And you can see the progress. And each day the results are posted on our events results link. So our webpage, solarcarchallenge.org, is a host of information for you.
Yeah, I've already posted that on our social media. So you said there's
Thank
a
you.
qualifying portion of this that they have to qualify. What does the qualifying entail?
Beginning on the Thursday, July the 13th, 14th, 15th, the cars will qualify. They have to go through 7 stations. First off, they go through a mechanical check to make sure that they follow the very specific guidelines for safety in building the car. Station 2 is electrical, where we make sure that the electrics are fine and that everything's going to work right and everything's protected and properly.
No fear of a thermal event.
That's right. Third is a tilt and turn. We want to raise the cars up 30%, see if anything falls off. And seriously, it used to be an old bumper sticker that said, if you see nuts and bolts on the road, then you know that a solar car has gone this way. Anyway, at Station 3, we determined, can they make the proper turning radius so they could get through turns in the community. Station 4 is slalom. That's where we check out the drivers. Can they handle the car? Is the car capable of doing a slalom course? Station 5 is braking. We find out whether or not their brakes will hold and they have to meet a criteria for safety. Station 6 is for stamina and endurance, and can they load and unload the car on a trailer, which you have to take. And then Station 7, our last station, we have a big box truck, and the car has to drive past it to see if it handles the vortices created by the truck going by it, so that they won't flip from wind current.
Yeah, I would have the braking first.
So is there what's kind of the average weight of each of these vehicles?
If you're a top-level car, you should be around 400 pounds.
Oh, wow.
That's not what the. If you are on the upper end, you might be as much as 1,100 pounds.
Does that include driver?
No. But some of these teams, particularly the new teams, want to use big wheels, which are very weighty, maybe not able to do lithium iron phosphate batteries, still using lead acid. All those kind of things add
That's
weight.
a lot of weight.
So it is. And they've all got about the same amount of energy they're taking in. But that's what you were saying. One of the things you learn is you've got to take the car with that amount of energy and learn how to use it the best you can. And that means reducing the weight and reducing the rolling resistance and improving the aerodynamics. So that's why the brain sport, solar car racing, really does so much for the kids, bringing all these factors together.
That is so cool.
Are these hard rubber tires?
It depends. If you if you have the money and can buy some sophisticated MIT type of cars, wheels at $600 a piece, you're going to have a soft tire. The cars with less money, they may be using motorcycle tires.
Okay.
So the advantage is the motorcycle tire is probably not going to go flat. Some of the softer tires, you can be off the side of the road changing tires.
Gotcha.
All of that depends upon alignment.
Yeah.
And the kids learn about the importance of aligning the car, making sure that your steering is such that you're going to reduce the kind of friction with your steering.
So is the braking system that they use, is it just a pure mechanical hydraulic system, or are they using regenerative braking so that they can use the force of braking to recharge?
They can do regenerative, but we require two separate braking systems, not regenerative, which will generally be hydraulic. Some will use mechanical. The reason why we have two separate systems, two separate pedals on the floor on this, is an experience that happened with one of my early teams. We were doing a race in New York City in Battery Park in 1994. And the driver said, the judge said to the driver, I want you to drive as fast as you can and hit your brake, and let's see how fast you can stop. So my driver hit the pedal and went as fast as he could, hit the brake. The weld that was holding the brake in broke, and I could see the calipers flying past the driver's head out through the front windshield of the car.
Boy.
Headed for the Staten Island ferry there at the end of Battery Park.
Right. And here were 15 of my students running after that car as fast as they could. So that's why we have two separate independent braking systems.
How cool.
In case one breaks, the other, and you say, well, why do this? It's student built.
Yeah.
So
right.
we want to back up.
What a great idea.
Well, Dr. Marks, it's great to talk to you, and we really wish you the best of luck in this year's Solar Car Challenge. And again, for more information, go to solarcarchallenge.org. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Best of luck, and let's check in
Thank
again
you.
soon.
I appreciate y'all and your interest in this, and great questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. How fun.
Yeah,
Mike,
we
Mike,
can talk to him for an hour.
We had a
though.
dentist on. We've had a doctor on. Can you get a psychologist next week and maybe round that out?
Call
for
my
us?
daughter.
There you go.
Yeah, call Amy. All right, couple of headlines. First of all, let's do some recalls, shall we?
All right.
Lincoln Nautilus for 2023 rear shock absorbers manufactured incorrectly.
Oh.
Somebody didn't do their home. Can we take a look at that before they put it on the car?
It goes sideways, not up and down.
Loss of power or fire from damaged control module on the Ford Fusion 2019 through 2020.
Yeah, that's 13. There's a 13.
I'm sorry?
Kathy's is a 13.
13, okay. Improperly manufactured battery charging unit on the BMW 760i, i4, and the iX.
Aye.
Thank you. Porsche Macans and Porsche Panameras, beginning in 2016 through 2020, the seatbelt anchor may detach from the seat.
That's not good.
Loss of loss of drive power from the fuel pump shutdown. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but Mercedes-Benz. Look at can you see that?
Oh, wow.
Can you see the list? It's a whole page.
All of them.
Pretty much all of them. From the 2021 through the 2023 model years. So if you own a Mercedes-Benz or a Mercedes Maybach, you might want to go to safercar.gov, put in the
VIN of that $500,000 Maybach.
Well, I
own.
could suggest maybe trading it in on a Cadillac. That would be my suggestion.
work.
Yeah, because Cadillac doesn't have any recalls.
Oh, no.
Porsche 911 GT3 being recalled for incorrect activation of brake lights. Okay.
That's to freak the guy out behind you that's following you.
Yeah.
They
Never
put 'em in
mind.
the front.
Yeah, so sorry. Never mind. It's not us. We didn't do it. Ford Bronco's been nipping at the heels of the Jeep Wrangler, its chief rival in the adventure-seeking class of utility vehicles, and a regulatory ripple effect could tighten that race even further. U.S. sales of the Bronco rose 38% in the first quarter to 32,000, while Wrangler volume fell 17% to 37,971. Ford's gains could accelerate after Stellantis recently changed how it allocates Wranglers in the 14 states that follow emissions guidelines set by the California Air Resources Board that are stricter than nationwide standards. The conventional gasoline-only Wrangler isn't being allocated for dealerships to stock in CARB states, though the automaker said customers can still order them. Dealers continue to get allocations of the Wrangler 4xe plug-in hybrid in those states. Industry observers say the allocation method could leave an opening for the Bronco. Potential Wrangler buyers in CARB states who want the conventional gasoline version will be forced to make a decision, wait for an order,
Drive across the state line to Nevada.
wait for an order, or head to a nearby Ford dealership and drive a Bronco off the lot the same day. While diehard Jeep enthusiasts are unlikely to switch brands and won't mind exercising a little patience until their new Wrangler is shipped, analysts say there's a chance that those on the fence could be swayed if they need to wait.
You had a similar story not long ago about it. So,
Exactly. Yeah. A quick break now. We'll be right back. You're on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Stay with us. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live on iHeartRadio and the Smoke and Mirrors Network. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show, and coming up, we talk with Rodney Rodriguez, Circle Track announcer extraordinaire.
All right.
I bet he hasn't been called that lately. I drove the 2023 Subaru Crosstrek, and I'll give you my impression of it. We also have the cruise-in calendar. Conrad has This Week in Auto History. I'll bring the stories making automotive news headlines as well. Just ahead on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. Let's get right to our Zoom call. And a guest this hour, Rodney Rodriguez, Circle Track announcer extraordinaire. Did you like that title?
What's extraordinaire? Is that good or bad?
I think that's good. Well, even if it wasn't good, I wouldn't tell you.
No, I'm just kidding.
I know
I'm
you
just
are.
kidding.
I know.
I'm flattered. I'm flattered, Don. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
So
today.
what did you think of the Kiwi winning Chicago?
I loved it.
Yeah.
It's something, I was talking to some folks during the week, and, that whole concept wasn't supposed to work. That race was going to flop. People were going to get shot. I mean, you heard all the different things that were going to happen there.
Well, that still did happen.
I guarantee you, had Bubba Wallace won that race,
Bubba Wallace.
you wouldn't have all this excitement. Have you noticed nobody's even talked about the race is shortened? That's not even coming up. I mean, it was great. And pardon my French, guys, he whipped their asses, man.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
He does it all the time. That's his profession. He does courses like that. That's what he does. In the supercars yet. He's not these little mamby-pamby 18-year-old, give me a car and I'm going to run. No. Yeah. He's got class.
No, I thought it was great. I mean, I thought it was great for the industry. And I went back and looked thereafter, and you had 4.5 million people that watched it. The race started late. I mean, there was everything happened there that should have made it a failure, and it was like a epic home run. One of the biggest iconic races ever in NASCAR, some people say.
Well, I have to tell you that I love watching street racing on TV. Mm-hmm. It's terrible to watch in person because it's kind of like going to the Indy 500. You get a straightaway and a turn, and that's about it. Mm-hmm. And I want to see the whole thing. And man, I'm telling you, I really did like it. It was a great format for NASCAR, and I think that they need to do more of them.
And I'll tell you what was really cool was just the sounds right there. I mean, as loud as that new car is. When you would hear the ambient sound of that car just moving around, between all those buildings and everything, I just thought that was amazing. And it was really cool to see so many people, that turned out for that. I mean, they had them stacked, 10, 12 deep at some of those spots. And they even waited out the rain. I mean, that was a monsoon that blew through there. And an hour later, all right, let's go racing.
And I thought the announcers did a good job as they followed whoever it was that they were following around the track. I thought that was well done as well. I thought that could always be a challenge, is switching from announcer to announcer to announcer as whoever the leader is moves around the track. I thought they did a very good job of that.
they were really good in the sense that NBC, they go and they get Mike Bagley to kind of lead that, and he's one of the lead guys over at Motor Racing Network.
Yeah, MRN.
And if you ever catch a PRN or MRN race, I mean, that's exactly what it is. It's boom, 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 boom. And, that's really the way to call a radio race. That's really the difference right there, because with the radio, you're painting that picture because they can't see what you're talking about, where a lot of times on TV, I know it's something I struggle with, like with football, because I'm used to doing football on the radio. I do football on TV or on video, and I'm like painting a picture that everybody can see. So those radio broadcasts are really tremendous.
Well, I was just impressed with the race itself, the street course, and how narrow it was. I mean, it was almost impossible to pass, but when they did, oh my God, hold your breath, tighten up your butt cheeks, because man, are they going to make it through that or not?
And I think the other part of that, like you guys are talking about with the street course racing and the narrow, no runoff areas. I mean, none of that. If you mess up, I mean, you just hold on. And we saw a couple of them, they got themselves in trouble. There's just no room for error. And the other thing with this car, we're used to seeing some smaller sports cars and open wheel, Formula One or Indy cars on road courses. But these big old tanks out there, they cover a lot of mass. They cover a lot of
footprint.
mass.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it really was awesome to see. I think it was great.
I think if I were to offer any criticism and something that could be improved is the actual tire fences that they had there, where the car ran up underneath the tires and couldn't get out.
That I'm glad you mentioned that, because something that I do want to speak to with this new car, in those situations where the guys were hitting those things and you see them make that impact and you're like, man, this is going to be horrible. And, they're sitting there trying to pull that thing out, and the wrecker comes in and pulls them out, and hell, they just drive off.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think the Kyle Busch car had some damage to the right front fender. That one was kind of boogered up a little bit, like we like to say. But I mean, other than that, think about this composite body car. I mean, had that been with some of the older generation cars, I mean, you'd had cars wiped out. And the good part, I think, for NASCAR is something that nothing's really been said this week, but some of those impacts were pretty violent, and nobody hurt. And I think that was the one thing that with this car, some of the crush zones, and it was a real wasn't as nimble, a very stiff chassis on this race car. You had guys with concussions and so forth. Everybody good after all of those, and that's strides in the right direction.
Well, I have to tell you, man, I was really impressed, because I saw some of those hits, and once they got the car unstuck from underneath the tire thing that they all ran into, that no damage. And they ran off and finished the race. It was truly amazing. I loved it. Yeah, I was very impressed. Okay, let's talk about Texas racing. What do you got on the calendar tonight?
I was in Waco last night. We actually had a really good night at HMP this past what was that? The first. A really cool night there. Good night, efficient night of racing. Get this done. We started at 7. We were done by 9:20. And that's with a fireworks thing.
What?
Afterwards.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. No intermissions, no nothing. It was very much like a dirt track show. It's like, okay, guy comes up, he's down there where you would talk to the guys. The next race is waiting in turn 3 behind the pace car. And it's like, as soon as that car rolls off, boom, here we go. Show them one, green flag, and just like clockwork. And the fans really seem to be liking that more conservative approach to get people out the door. I always say when I'm there, it's like, our plan is to get you out of here in an efficient time to get you to church on the next day. And I'm joking about the church, with all the folks that I like to raise hell with over there. But when you're able to do that, because that attention span is so short these days. I mean, when you get them in and out the door in 2.5 hours, man, you're doing something right. So things really on the uptick over there at HMP.
Now, how about the car count?
Better. Not what it was the race before, but I think a lot of that may have been, folks at the lake, folks doing, whatever for 4th of July.
Holiday weekend.
Yep.
Yeah,
but
those are always.
And what about the crowds? Is the crowd increased any?
The last 2 have been really, really good, and this one was even better. And I think it was probably because of so this whole thing with running the show quicker. it happened. It was a fortunate mistake the way that it happened, because the race before we were battling weather, and we knew what was coming. We were checking radar, and we knew that we needed to be done. We had a, like they say on the network stuff, we had about a 2.5 hour window to produce our show, and we got that done. And the post conversation from that was like, man, that was great. You know, we really liked how the show flowed, and we made it, or the racetrack made it very apparent that that was going to be the case again this time with the schedules. And that place was jam packed, and it was hot, guys. Oh God, it was hot. People were sweating bullets out there, but I mean, they showed up and they sat through it.
Yeah, if you finished at 9:20, you got through about dark. I mean, so you didn't get any help out of the sun.
Yeah, it started a little earlier, and even that turned the lights on. But it's a good night. People are continuing to show up. Competition's good. There was a little controversy, as always, at the end in the tech shed, but something that was resolved. It was at the actual the racetrack made a mistake, and they owned up to it this week, and they fixed that. And you know, it's things like that that are going to gain the confidence of the drivers and the fans, and hopefully that's something that'll continue moving forward. But tonight at 105, there in Cleveland, you've got a full night of action there for them. They race every Saturday, so
and that's a dirt track
on there this weekend. Yeah,
dirt track. How big is that track?
I want to say, I think that's a quarter mile. I may be wrong.
Quarter mile.
I haven't been to that one.
Are you going to call it tonight?
No. I got the night off. I'm going to watch the Astros.
Well, good for you.
Glutton for punishment.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
They've been fairly well.
Yeah, they're pretty exciting. I actually looked to
list.
see how much a ticket costs out in the Crawford boxes. Well, I can't afford that. Forget that. I'd have to sit up in the nosebleed section somewhere. But it looks like
y'all remember when they were really bad and they were like almost giving those away. You could get in there for
next to nothing.
It was sort of like last night.
Yeah, well, that's not the case any longer. I can tell you that.
Yeah, a lot of big salaries to pay.
So, what are you looking forward to? Is NASCAR running today or tomorrow?
NASCAR,
Atlanta.
Yeah. I really like this weekend because they're heading to Atlanta, and so Atlanta now races like Daytona and Talladega. You know, the big super speedway tracks. They went in and reconfigured. Redid the banking. Everything is different there. And
really?
Yeah. 200 mile per hour speed. So you'll have the big one. You'll have all of that. I think something that's going to be really interesting, NASCAR here, the rest of the way, you've got about 8 races left until the playoffs, and you've got 12 different winners. So to see if we get, 16 are eligible for the playoffs, to see if we actually get, what is that, 12, 13, 15, if we get that many different winners. And there's a couple of road course races left. There's a couple of super speedway races left and mile and a halves. And guys, a couple of Hendrick guys that haven't won yet, like Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman. So that's going to be something pretty cool to watch as we get towards the playoffs. And then, of course, the playoff run. Who's able to win the championship? Pretty wide open, I think, this time.
Is Bristol going to be another dirt race again?
With this, a lot was hinging on what we just saw this past week. We've talked countless times on our shows about how that race is going to really put the next calendar for NASCAR in line. And I really think that 2 things that are going to happen. Number one, the Indianapolis, the Brickyard 400, I think that'll be back on the oval, which is where it needs to be instead of the road course. Yeah.
Totally agree with you.
Which is ironic because for the longest time, people said, well, you got to get that off the schedule. And now we want the oval back. And I think that the dirt race that you're talking about there at Bristol, that's run its course. It's just not very entertaining. I don't want to say it's a flop. It was cool the first time. Let the trucks do that, but this isn't a dirt racing series. These aren't dirt cars. I think the one thing that we just learned, and you kind of spoke to it, Don, is these cars. You all spoke to it. These cars are designed to do what we just saw them do, not run on dirt. So exactly. I think we're going to see more of what we just saw.
And not to put down dirt at all. I mean, I enjoy a good dirt car race, but if I'm going to watch
a dirt car.
right, I want to. That's right,
Specific,
And I want to go to a NASCAR race, and I want to see them do 200 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'd like to see him at Road America with the Cup cars as opposed to just the Xfinity cars.
I agree, and I think it's pretty inevitable as well that, and I think this time it'll be Cup, that they'll head to Canada, probably back to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, because obviously with the pandemic, that made it impossible for Xfinity to get over there with borders and so forth. But I think now with the growth of this and NASCAR's trying to expand. I mean, folks are talking about, with North Wilkesboro, getting North Wilkesboro back on the schedule a few weeks back. That was really cool. I really enjoyed seeing that. But do you know why we don't go to places like that? Because Fox couldn't get their broadcast on the air because of the bandwidth and the, you're out in the middle of the country.
We can relate.
Yes.
We are very well aware of how that works.
We know how to do that.
Yeah.
It's like trying to do a Cup race in Chapel Hill. I mean, it's not, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, I have to tell you, back to the road racing, I remember back in the day, I used to love watching Riverside.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
And they need to have a new Riverside somewhere where it's a tradition in NASCAR and the Cup cars.
Well, that's why I think Road America would be great, because there's some huge speed at Road America, and then at the end of that huge speed, it's a hard 90.
Yeah. Well, and I will tell you that I kind of like the Texas race up at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the funny thing there, Don, that you talk about, because with the road course, now having more of them, a lot of the newer race fans, younger race fans, not as seasoned as we are, like you're talking about.
That's so nice. Thank you.
They don't. The NASCAR season used to start and end at Riverside, and Daytona was race 2.
Yeah.
You started in January and then you ended with the finale there with the whatever they used to call it at Riverside. But we do, and I agree with Road America, and I think the thing about it is Road America is such a great place because it's very fan friendly. Those are rabid race fans. They love when the tour comes into town. I mean, they embrace that. That's like a Willie Nelson picnic over there at Road America, and that needs to be back on the schedule.
Everybody's smoking weed and drinking beer.
That's right.
No, we think it's all about the music, the guitar.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah,
that's not it at all.
I want the old NASCAR back. There it is, right there. There it is, right.
Exactly.
Moonshine.
So, what do you got going on your car show?
Just trying to cover everything as it continues to happen. Across the country, you've got super late model racing that's they're kind of getting past the midway point, getting towards the bigger races. You've got some big stuff up north this week on Tuesday that I'll be pretty hammering on pretty good. The Slinger Nationals up in Wisconsin. So that's a Tuesday.
What? Tuesday? A Tuesday?
A Tuesday.
Yeah, no, I'm
It was
sorry.
Wisconsin. Give them a break.
Well, they're
You'll
making
have that.
cheese curds the
On
rest
Monday,
of the
yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. And the one thing, I mean, I know we had kind of talked about it as we get into this, it's really interesting to watch how the racers in the heat right now, because that question has come up to me a lot of different times. It's like, how do the racers handle the heat? And it's like, well, if you're a NASCAR driver or a Formula One or whatever, you go sit in the paddock or you go sit in the motorhome or whatever. But if you're a local driver, you get out there and sweat. I drove at Edna. I raced at Edna a couple of weeks back. I drove 2 different divisions on the same night, and I'll tell you what, this fat guy here forgot. That used to be nothing. 2 different divisions.
Yeah, how old are you now?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Ronnie, it's great. When is your show on the air?
We Monday 6:30 you can catch Revved Up at RevvedUpSportsShow.com and on Facebook, and then Thursday on Racing America 6 p.m. Central Racing America Facebook page. I'll be covering that Slinger Nationals and just getting ready for another week. Countdown to snowball. Almost time for us to head to Pensacola in December when it'll be nice and cold.
It's always good to talk to you, my friend. Thank you so much.
Bet you guys take care. Be well.
See you,
Do
Rodney.
the same. Ronnie Rodriguez, the voice of short track racing all across the United States.
He needs to get you on his show.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't need me at all. He does just a fine job. And tune in. He's got a great show, and I think that you'll really enjoy it. All right, time now for this hour's car review. Had a chance to drive the 24 Subaru Crosstrek. Wait a minute, Don. Didn't you have one of those about a month ago? Yes, I did. Different trim level on this one. Here are the trim levels. It starts off with the base, the premium, moves up to the sport, and then the limited. I had the premium, which is just one notch above the entry level. This is a small wagon. It's made basically from the Impreza four-door sedan, but they've turned it into an SUV. They raised it up off the ground a little bit, threw on some body cladding, and boom, there you go. Seats 5 people. Redesigned for 2024, it looks a whole lot better than the outgoing model. It does have sedan-like proportions. This is not a big SUV. Sporty, off-road style wheels, larger grille now from the old model. Body cladding helps the off-road look and appeal. What I liked about it, the roof rail, as odd as this may sound, the roof rail makes it look tougher. Isn't that bizarre? Take the roof rail off of it and it looks more like a car. Put the roof rail on it. What could use improvement? I don't know. Interior highlights? Optional big infotainment screen is easy to use, and I would encourage you, if you're looking for that kind of vehicle, to get the bigger infotainment screen. Love the different interior textures in all of the models. Easy to find controls. Comfortableness is the word that I use.
Well, you're a cloth seat kind of guy.
I am a cloth seat kind of guy. Cargo trunk room, rubber mats keep it clean in the back, and it comes with the car. What I liked about it, cozy and comfortable is a good way, I think, to put it, because that's what it is. It's a small SUV, and I think that you'll like it. 2-liter boxer-style engine, in other words, horizontally opposed 4-cylinder, 152 horsepower, 145 pound-feet of torque with a CVT transmission. 27 miles per gallon in the city, 34 on the highway for a combined of 29. I got 30.4 miles per gallon over 473 miles. What I liked about it? Well, pretty much everything on the engine side. What could use improvement? Get a geared automatic transmission, at least make it available. It just is not great with the CVT, not a whole lot of pickup there. And if that's the case and you're going to stick with the CVT, then you need to have some sort of a power booster on that motor, like a turbo. Ride and handling. Car-like smooth, and I will say that thing rides great. What could use improvement? Off-roaders would probably like a little bit more flexibility in the ride and handling of it. In other words, make it more off-roady, but that's not what that really is about. I mean, this is a do-all car that can go off-road because it's full-time all-wheel drive.
It's a new word.
It is, and I made that road worthy.
Roadie.
Base trim price, $27,440. Prices tested, well, this is a pre-production model, so I guess it's somewhere around $30K. I didn't have it.
Right. It'd be about right,
Yeah.
I guess.
Base model price, $24,995. Competitors, Honda HR-V. Think about that.
That's a small one, though.
There's
But
really,
it's also more vertical.
yeah, and it doesn't have the niche that this has. It's more SUV-like, purpose-built, where this one is kind of like a crossover. It comes from the Impreza.
Well, you think Subaru, that's what you think.
Mazda CX-30 is another competitor. Again, $29,000. And the Jeep Renegade, Mike's favorite, $26,000.
That's just a crowded segment. There's just a lot of stuff in there.
There is. And so do your homework well. If you're not brand loyal, I would encourage you to go to the Subaru dealership and take it for a test drive.
And Subaru customers are rabid loyal. they, just the typical Subaru customer is a very loyal fan of the brand.
And rightly so. I mean, they're pretty good cars. They can't seem much bad about them at all.
Yeah.
I mean, you?
No. I was just thinking, a friend of mine, he's on his second one. And I mean, hardcore Chrysler fan from years and years back, all the way back to when we were in high school. I mean, that was the only people that built cars, even whenever they were not so good at cars. But he's on his second one.
And when I think of Subaru, I think of the Lilienthals.
They don't have a Subaru.
No, but
no,
it's
but
the outdoorsy. They're always out.
They're out
traveling,
there going places,
exactly.
doing things.
Well, they did one of their treks
Yeah,
in a Subi.
that's what I think of.
Well, at any rate, would you like to do the cruise-in calendar?
Sure.
Went to Craig's Chrome and Coffee last Sunday morning.
How was it?
Packed.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was. And great bunch of older resto mods. 1920 Model A.
There's a Model A
with
32s there.
Yeah.
High boys. Yep.
Yeah, really
You
good
brought
stuff.
Leslie's new vehicle?
Well,
you
no, I
didn't
took the
take
EV.
You didn't take the vet, though.
No, I didn't. I took the EV last week, and everybody pointed and make fun of it. I said, okay, well, let's get out here on the feeder street, and let's give it a go, and let's see who wins that one.
And if you weren't listening last week, good riddance to the F-bomb. She finally got rid of the Jaguar.
Yes, it's gone. Thank you. Goodbye forever and ever. Never again.
Jaguar paying a lot of money.
Never going to let
car.
you live that down.
He just
No,
wanted.
I'm so happy he did.
He just wanted to use the
So
word F-bomb.
tonight, 5 p.m., Brookshire
So.
Brothers Cruise in Montgomery, Texas. Also tonight at 6 p.m., the Wharton Cruise Night at Domino's Pizza there in Wharton. I don't have to give the street address. It's Wharton. Also tonight at 6 p.m., the Cruise In at Eva Street in Montgomery, Texas. Saturday at the Ranch Harley Davidson in College Station. That starts this afternoon. And then tomorrow is Woodlands Coffee. Coffee and Tuners at Tom's Coffee in the Galleria.
Did you handwrite this that
Yes,
you can't
yes.
read it?
And then Pistons in the Park at Park and Pizza in Pflugerville, Texas. Gonna put a
Pflugerville.
Pflugerville.
Downtown Pflugerville.
This starts with a P, doesn't it?
Yeah.
PF.
Yeah.
Pflugerville.
God
Back
bless
to you, Don.
God bless you.
Pflugerville.
You have to watch your microphone off.
Oh, yes. Mars has got a whole box full
I
of.
was just looking, closed caption spelled it right.
They
on the
did?
feed going.
That's good to know. All right. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts at your fingertips. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Stay with us. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Yes, it is the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, Keith Barry, Consumer Reports. We're going to talk about EV road trips.
All right.
That's kind of scary to me. But we're going to do it anyway. Conrad has This Week in Auto History.
Comes with a real long extension cord.
And we'll get you caught up on the stories making car news this week. Howdy, along with Mike Out of This World Mars, Mr. Zoom. That's a new name for you, Zoomy. Zoomy Mars.
Call him MZ.
MZ. King Conrad DeLong is here with us. We need more Jeff Zekin, as always. Mm-hmm. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join. No, I'm sorry. I'm George Goebel.
George Goebel.
Glad you could join us this Saturday morning for our live version. And every Saturday, it's usually live, almost all the time. It's not dead yet.
99%.
Yeah. The next couple of weeks is not going to be. I'm going on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm going to be joining David Ainsley in the UP of Michigan.
Yeah. You're going to be a Youper.
I'm going to be a Youper.
I pee, you pee, we all pee.
And then we're gonna fly into the Chippewa International Intergalactic Airport.
Boy, and are your arms tired?
Yeah. But so we're gonna fly in up there on next Saturday, Sunday.
Taking Leslie with you?
I am.
And she's getting off the new job so quickly.
Well, she's not on the new job.
Oh.
That doesn't start till next month.
Why does he need to know all this?
I know. I don't understand.
I have no idea.
He's
writing a book.
I want to live
you a lawyer?
vicariously through Don.
When was the last time you took a vacation?
November last year.
Yeah.
Stayed a little long.
I was going to say, how'd that work out for you? Not too well.
Yeah, like a turd in a punch bowl.
Mm-hmm. So, at any rate, it looks as though, Mr. Mars, that I see somebody from Consumer Reports kind of peeping around the corner there.
Peeping around.
Is he there?
We've got no audio yet.
Oh, we've got no audio yet. So they're working on audio. But at any rate, so we are going to talk to Keith Barry here in just a moment, once Mr. Mars gets us all lined up. Is an EV right for your next road trip? Because you know that there are people out there that have purchased an EV here in the past 9 months or so, and they want to go visit Aunt Mary in Wisconsin. Well, think about that for a minute.
Mm-hmm. It's a long drive and a lot of charging.
Yes. It's a 1,200-mile trip to Wisconsin.
There's a reason those EVs tell you where the charging stations are.
And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about many things. We have many questions.
Talk about Aunt Mary?
No, Aunt Mary has passed away, unfortunately. But
then why go visit her?
Okay. I have no idea. Just keep going.
Here, you know what I can do?
Oh, good job.
Let's see. Turn him off. No, just teasing. But at any rate, they have surveyed over 2,000 Americans. The survey was conducted from April. 30% of the respondents said they would definitely or seriously consider buying or leasing an EV. But 61% of respondents said that charging logistics is holding them back. While 54% cited the number of miles an EV can go before it needs to be recharged as the reason they aren't going electric yet.
Yeah.
What do you think? Would you? I mean, if I had an EV, I just spent, let's just say $50,000 on an EV, a nice one, okay, because you can get them a lot cheaper these days. And they claim that you could get 300 miles on a charge. Well, okay, you can get 300 miles on a charge from my experience if you go about 30 miles an hour and don't feather the throttle, don't do anything, put it on cruise control.
Turn the AC off, roll the windows down.
Pretty much.
Well, you know, we talked about that last night. And we talked about Kylie, my granddaughter, license. And I'm thinking one of the lesser EVs, lesser so far as mileage that you go, would be good for a first-time driver back and forth to school. In my opinion, maybe a weekend dance.
And how much were you planning on spending?
Well, depending on what a lower end is in the market, but I'm thinking that would be a good start.
Lower to mid 30s, I think.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
something like that.
I got
High 20s.
I got $30,000 to spend. That's the top of my budget. And I could probably go find an EV or a partial EV, a plug-in hybrid, something. Am I going to do that? Or am I going to go buy an ICE engine, internal combustion engine, put it under the
invite all
hood,
his friends over for a margarita.
and then we are pretty much only limited by the gas stations.
The distance.
The gas stations, the distance between gas stations. Because I can always pull into a gas station and fill up the tank and have a full tank. And if you get really good gas mileage, you could probably go 500 miles. If you get, 30, 40 miles to the gallon, which you can in some internal
Plus
combustion
you can stop
engines.
and refill anywhere in about 15 minutes.
5. Because generally those cars have a small tank to begin with.
True.
So all I can think of is that I got 30 grand to spend. Am I going to spend it on electric? It's going to limit me, and then I got to stop and charge it for 30 minutes at least.
Well, I think the genius hotel chain that comes up with, hey, stay with us and free charging stations, and they're frequent enough around, I think those are the people who are going to make the market.
The two hotels that aren't far from here, they have charging stations. The new there's a new Hampton, I think, that they just built recently, and then the other one down just another quarter mile away. They've got I don't know if they're Teslas, but they just got the hookups for it, for the electric. They're in the back of the hotel.
Nice and safe back there in the back of the hotel.
Well, it's not where you've got all your handicap in the front and under the entrance and all that. They're pushed a little bit further back. So, but to answer your question, I think a lesser value EV, lesser mileage would be for a younger person.
Let me tell you something. Based on my experience with a new driver, I'm going to go buy a $3,000 car that probably has, 150,000 miles on it. That, generally speaking, is a good car. It's reliable, dependable, and you've got all the proof in the pudding because they've been building the same car forever and ever, got all the bugs worked out of it, all the recalls have been taken care of. Okay, so it's got a little door ding in it, a little whiskey bump here and there. That's okay. There you go. If you want a nicer car, here's a can of polish. Here's a wash bucket. Get out there and make it look as good as it can. What's wrong with that?
Well, the first thing I bought Rochelle was a full-size pickup truck. And then the first thing we bought Austin was actually the Yukon.
With no 5-mile-an-hour bumpers on it, so you just barely touch anything with the bumpers and it crushes the front end of it.
Or the other vehicle, yeah.
She's been very good in not having those issues.
That's good. Could you move your microphone a little bit closer?
Is that close enough?
Would you? How's your slapping hand doing?
Not as good as Kathy's.
All right, then we need Kathy to come here.
Yeah, exactly. But there are lots of challenges. Mr. Mars, how are you doing over there? Apparently he's not doing too well. Everything was going well, but now it's not.
It's a connection to Connecticut.
Is that what it is? All right.
Yeah,
Well,
George says he's got a friend has a Tesla 3 and he had to stop twice going between Temple and Houston. And the car overheated in this ambient temperature and it
Yeah.
said bring to the service station,
to the Tesla service
to
station.
this Tesla repair facility.
There's a Tesla facility at just 59, just before 36 on the west side, left of the freeway.
Yeah, there's a Tesla repair place up at Rankin Road and 45.
Yes.
It's a nice building.
But that's interesting that, so I know that they have coolant in them, a special kind of coolant to keep the batteries and all of the electrical stuff cool, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me because I was always told to keep water and things liquid away from that.
Well, this is it, again. It's basically a radiator for the batteries because they want to keep the battery temperatures down so that they don't get a thermal runaway.
Yeah, that's not good because usually that winds up with the fire department having to come on the side of the road to put
Multiple times because they're very hard to put out.
Yes, exactly.
Foam.
So at any rate, as we continue to work on our interview here, I'm just going to go down the list here of the notes that we have. Consumer Reports tips for EV road trippers. Plan your route.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can think of is well, yeah, you've got a computer in there, great big one that really does good GPS. Plan your route. But you have to plan it with EV charging stations on the
way,
route.
right.
So forget that off-roading stuff that goes back off into the woods and, like you would normally go to grandmother's house and enjoy the scenery because you ain't going to get it charged out there. Unless,
Granny's got a good generator.
exactly. Another point is download apps for the major charging networks. EVgo, ChargePoint, Electrify America, Volta, Amp Up, and others. Those are available on your phone, and you can link your phone to your car. So those are some tips. Before we get to our guest this hour, it's only taken 10 minutes to get him all hooked
ready?
up here. You ready there, Mr. Mars?
Believe so.
All right. Keith Berry, hello, good morning. And it's kind of like you being in line to get a charge at the EV charging station. Here you are.
Finally.
Yes, I am here, and it works. Which, but after some hiccups, and the way I tend to view where we're at right now with charging infrastructure is that 10 years ago I had a landline. I don't have a landline anymore. And 10, 15, 20 years ago, we're not in the bag phone days anymore of EVs. We're probably in the Nokia days of EVs, the early iPhone days.
Or the dial-up AOL.
Yeah, no. We're well, Mom, don't pick up the phone. I'm on. No, don't. We're not in that world anymore.
But look behind you. You got a compact 186 computer behind you.
It's an Apple IIc. Actually.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so we're in the kind of, and I do it. There actually is a landline there, but it's not hooked up to anything. So we're in that kind of world right now where people are, figuring out, what's going to work for this, what's going to work for that. And we're finding that it's obviously it's different in Texas, but average nationwide that the average road trip is about 284 miles each way, and that's the average summer road trip. And most people don't put a full EV range on a car. So for the everyday drive, most people plug in at home and they charge at home. But we're starting to see what we're really starting to get questions from is these we're starting to see these rentals now. Hertz is now renting Teslas and has Tom Brady out there, and I'm from New England, so I've got feelings about that. But but aside from that, people are for the first time, I think, when we've got sort of these cars with ranges more than 80 miles or so. These are cars that can do 99% of what folks want to do on a daily basis. But like you said, if you're driving from Texas to Minnesota, it's going to be a very different experience.
Yeah, and because, first of all, we know that the car that's rated for 300 miles of battery life before you have to plug it in ain't really 300 miles. It's somewhat less than that.
Particularly if I'm driving.
And if Mike Mars, Mr. Leadfoot over here, is driving it, it's going to be a lot less than 300 miles. So we have to stop along the way as we head north, and we're going to go up I-45 here in Houston, and we're going to go to Dallas. I'm going to go through Dallas to head up north. And once we get to Dallas, well, we're
Hopefully
hoping
Buc-ee's has a charging station.
we're hoping that we can make it to Dallas on one single charge, because Dallas is about, depending on where you're going from, is about 250 miles. But that's going to be stretching it a lot. And my heart...
In that last 10 miles, you're panic struck.
Yes, there's a lot of puckering going on there. So we have to do some planning. And what I was reading before we got on the air with you, your press release on this subject, and that is that there's some apps that you can use, but for the most part, don't most electric vehicles have a built-in kind of system that tells you where the next charging station is?
Oh, absolutely. Only a handful don't. And most of them, the nice thing about them is that they are tied into the vehicle. So it can know exactly what the vehicle state of charge is. It can know exactly what's best for the battery, where to plug it in. So it kind of tells you what to do. You know, you're not going to want to take on a charge when the battery's at 80% state of charge, because it's going to take forever to get to that last 100%. So it's going to let you kind of dip down a bit and then bring you back up again. And a lot of these will also, they've got these fancy algorithms that will figure out just, you know, to minimize the amount of time that you spend waiting at a charger. The problem is what we're hearing is that sometimes, you know, it'll show that a charger in your, you know, in your infotainment system, in your navigation, and you'll get there. And especially if you're not driving a Tesla, it might not be working, or someone might have their truck parked across it, or it might be behind a locked gate or in a closed parking garage and the hours haven't been updated. So that's kind of that, you know, that's where we're at, that sort of early cell phone landline level right now when it comes to the charging infrastructure.
Or it's at the dealership and you have to talk to a salesperson while your car is charging.
Exactly. Or it's, well, that's not our brand of car. You can't charge that here. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and we've found that even in the Northeast, where there's a little more density of chargers here, that, you know, every so often just something will go wrong, and that's not going to that's not going to work if you're counting on it, you know.
And the Northeast is such a welcoming personality to people when you step on their property to do something they don't want you to do.
Well, yeah, a lot of these are in highway rest areas, and, you know, you've got 5 people lining up for the same thing, and you have to, who is there first? Yeah.
And that's another thing. Let's talk about the time it takes to get that 80% charge when you've only got 5% left, and you have to stop at this particular place and then wait for 30 minutes to get, hopefully, an 80% charge on it. And you're not the only one. And, you know, there are people in line to get that. I mean, how frustrating is that? When was the last time you had a line at the gas station? The 70s? Yeah. At least here in Texas, that's usually not a problem because there's a gas station on every corner.
Yeah. Now, I mean, the good news is that we're getting cars with, 800 volt architectures, and they can add 150 miles in a few minutes. And, I don't know about you, but I gotta use the facilities every so often, about every 300 miles or so anyways while driving. So you can kind of dovetail those two together. But at the same time, yeah, it is a difference. I mean, the road trip, I think for a lot of Americans, a lot of people sort of anecdotally that we're speaking to, there's a hybrid and there's an EV, and the EV is great for 99%. But when you got to go to grandma's house or Aunt so-and-so's house or whoever's house, you've got that other vehicle that you can take. So, it isn't in that fully road trip sense. And back to that metaphor again, you'd have your cell phone for for most of your calls, and then you'd have your landline for when you want to make that 45-minute phone call.
When you guys did the American Experiences survey, what really stood out in this survey of over 2,000 people that when it comes to charging electric vehicles and electric vehicles in general? What'd you find out?
Yeah, two things really stood out was just how different the experience is for Tesla drivers versus non-Tesla drivers. We found that, that supercharger network, they were early, they got really good locations. And they just kind of work. It's the hardware and the software and the vehicles and the infrastructure are all designed to work together. And that's a different experience than folks who are driving and they're trying to, deal with Electrify America, EVgo. Not that any of these, nothing against any of these individual systems, but it's a lot more types of cars and it's a lot more types of chargers, and that software handshake has to take place. And they might not be right out front. They might be in the back of the shopping mall parking lot by the dumpsters where you have to plug in. And, you're in an unfamiliar area in the middle of the night, and it's sort of, where is this thing I'm looking for? There's no big, bright, lit up sign. So we're finding that even though when people buy EVs, they're thinking, oh, I'm not going to have enough charge. I'm afraid of, they've got that range anxiety. But then once they own one and drive it for a little bit, what replaces that is this idea of, well, I know I can charge at home, and that's great. And I don't have to stop at the gas station every morning. I get out, my car has a full charge. I can make it to work, no problem. But this idea of, well, I had to use a public charger this one time because I was going, on a ski trip or something, and it just didn't work. And I think that the infrastructure, and there are some big investments, public and private, being made in infrastructure right now, because automakers can't sell these cars if they don't have places to plug them in. But we're finding that there really needs to be a change around the infrastructure and beefing it up and making sure that there is a place that you can plug in while you're on the road.
Speaking of plugging in, what do you think about, have you gotten any information or feedback yet on this obvious move that all the manufacturers are moving over to the Tesla charge plug?
Yeah, I mean, right now it is a bit of a wait and see because, we're hearing 2024. We tested out, there are a couple of stations in sort of mid-state New York that we drove out to test out some sort of pilot stations that had this magic dock where you could plug in a non-Tesla vehicle at a supercharger. The main obstacles we found were that just the way that the cord length was, they're all designed to fit to a Tesla. So if you have something where your charge port is in the back of the vehicle or it's on the other side, you might not be able to fit in the parking space the right way to fit the cord. And that's something, it's like the littlest, it's like, why didn't we standardize what side the gas tank was on way back, or at least make pumps that could go over to both sides, which I know are becoming more common now. But the 16-foot cable might not work in a couple of situations, depending upon how they're set up. So if these things are physically set up for Teslas, the hardware might work, the software might work, the charging is totally fine, it's great, the location's great. But if you can't park your car there, it's kind of the basic issue. So it's really kind of a wait and see.
Well, I have to tell you, I experienced that when I had the Kia EV6 a couple of weeks ago, and the charge port there at my work, it was only a 110 outlet to begin with. Tesla was right next to it. But I thought, well, I'm going to be here for 8 hours. We'll just stick it on there, the 110 outlet. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? The charge port was at the back on the right rear of the EV. Yeah. And so I have to maneuver into an angled parking place, but I have to back into it, which is, a 2 or 3 move. Have to get situated. Get it in there between the parking lines. And it was kind of a pain, but I managed to do it. And then once I got in there, it was made for obviously something to pull into this thing and plug it in the front. So I had to stretch the cord all the way around the back to get it to work. So I understand completely what you're saying. So as far as these I don't want to call them fly-by-night, but these charging stations, I have a card for EVgo because that's what the Whole Foods down the street from me. And It seemed to work just fine, except I didn't update the credit card on that account, so I had to wind up calling them and say, here's my new credit card. Oh, okay, we got all the information. Let me go ahead and turn the pump, if you will, on for you. And boom, then I had it. But it was another 10-minute delay to get the right credit card married to the EVgo card that starts the system.
And it was only good at that for EVgo.
Correct. Only good at EVgo because it wouldn't take a credit card. So there's another hassle with it. You can't put in a credit card like you would at the gas station. Thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why people tell us they love that supercharger network. You set it up one time, and that kind of handshake takes place when you plug in the vehicle. It's actually easier than a gas station and having to put in your credit card. But you know, you're right. This stuff has to be foolproof. And it isn't yet. And I mean, even things like, you know, accessibility. If you don't have the sort of the mobility to kind of, you know, these cords are heavy to drag this thing around the vehicle. There aren't full service pumps where you can, you know, honk your horn and someone will come out and help you.
Right.
So, I mean, that's another issue. Even just, you know, just even accessibility around these things that you're kind of on your own. But these are early days, and you know, we haven't even settled on a standard for a charge port yet. You know, that the NACS versus the CCS there, but it does look like that access to that network is something that other automakers are realizing we absolutely need.
Keith, where can we find the Consumer Reports EV Road Trips login?
You can find that at cr.org, and that article is free. And we also have a whole hub of information for EV owners, for EV interested folks, for hybrid interested folks, for anyone who wants to learn more. We've got information for you.
Well, we sure appreciate it, and it's great to talk to you. As always, we love talking to Consumer Reports. Great information, and we wish you the best of luck and hope to talk to you again very soon.
Same. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Keith Berry with Consumer Reports. We were going to do This Week in Auto History, but we don't have enough time for that because we had to run him a little bit too long to be able to get him in because I wanted to talk to him. But we're going to do the This Week in Auto History in our next half hour. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You don't mind, do you?
Flexible.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that.
You want to see my flexibility?
Yes, I do want to see that.
No, you don't.
I just
VW is going to use a small fleet of specially equipped Eurospec ID Buzz minivans to provide ride-hailing services to a closed group in a geo-fenced portion of Austin, Texas, beginning this month.
So Buzz needs to move to Austin.
Using Mobileye technology. Ultimately, the company plans to expand to other U.S. cities and serve the general public by 2026. In Austin, the company will initially use short wheelbase versions of the ID Buzz electric minivan imported from Europe. For the testing program, they'll be equipped with Mobileye technology stack. Later, the company plans to transition to similarly equipped long wheelbase versions of the ID Buzz, like those that will go on sale next year here in North America. Well, time now for a quick break. We'll be right back on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Stay with us. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In-Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise Inn, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. It's the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show, live from the Sugar Shack World Headquarters. Just ahead, supercar builder Steve Saleen. Jeff has a segment on real vintage car ads. Conrad has the racing calendar. We're also going to get This Week in Auto History from him. Later, we discuss the stories making automotive news headlines. We've got the third hour of our show underway on the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Network. Howdy, along with Mike, Out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad that you could join us today. And also joining us today, and we welcome to the show, Mr. Steve Saleen, CEO and founder of Saleen Performance Parts. Steve, good morning to you.
Good morning. How things in Texas?
Well, it's hot. It's real hot here. Yeah. How are things out in California?
It's 72 degrees and the surf is up. So we're okay.
Steve, I met you many years ago when the Texas Auto Writers Association was taking a tour, a preview of the Dallas Auto Show, and you had one of your legendary cars there. And it was a pleasure to talk to you, and you were most gracious to all of us because we bombarded you with all these stupid questions, but you answered them like the champ that you are. We appreciate that, and it's great to be with you this morning. How are things with Saleen Automotive?
Well, this actually is a pretty exciting year for us. It's our 40th anniversary. If you can believe that, it's 40 years since we introduced the Saleen Mustang to the automotive world, and it's a little known fact is that with the exception of the Ford Mustang itself and the Chevrolet Corvette, the Saleen Mustang is the longest continuing nameplate in North America that's been sold.
Wow. That is very impressive. You know, personally, Steve, I have to tell you, I kind of put you up there in the upper reaches, if you will, of celebrity auto builders, right up there with Carroll Shelby. I think the world of your work and your racing ability and all of the things that you've done.
And I certainly appreciate that. This marks my 50th year of racing, in the respect that back in 1973, I entered and won my first race. And just this past weekend, I won my first race in our new S1 supercar, which actually I think puts us in kind of rare company here on designing your own car with Bruce McLaren, Dan Gurney, and even Jim Hall in winning a race in the car but I'm not sure if anyone's actually won it in their production version. So it certainly was exciting to win last weekend. So obviously I'm still racing and having fun and building the next generation of supercars.
Well, congratulations, first of all, because I mean, that's something to be said, because you and I are pretty much close to the same age, and certainly respect you for all of that. Tell me about the car that you raced.
Well, it's we introduced it a few years ago, right as the coronavirus was breaking out, and we had to put it on pause. But we're building a new ground-up Saleen S1 supercar. It's a little bit different than our all-conquering Saleen S7 that we introduced 25 years ago, but it is still a supercar. It's all aluminum chassis. It's a carbon fiber body. It's our own design engine. It's a 4-cylinder with our own casting. It's a very unique casting that we're doing on a single turbo, and it produces 450 horsepower, but the car only weighs 2,600 pounds. So the power to weight ratio puts us into a supercar category, and all of this we're looking at bringing the retail value of this car for about $125,000.
I'm in.
We're in, yeah. And
that's a steal for that kind of performance.
And listen, and we'll be the first to line up to test drive that for you and do a review for you if you don't mind.
You will like it, and then we've already proven it over the last several years on the racetrack, because we have won against all makes, whether it's Ferrari, Porsche, Lamborghini, McLaren, or whatever. And then just this past weekend, I won up in Seattle at that race. And so it's a pretty exciting car, and we're very excited to bring it to market here in the real near future.
Well, and I assume that you're building it out there where you live in Inglewood?
Yeah, we're actually, our offices are, we have 4 acres in Southern California. It's actually in Corona. I joke about the fact that we started the coronavirus there. But, but aside from that, yes, we are in the process of putting together the production aspect of the car altogether.
Well, I imagine with your reputation, you've got a waiting list already for the first run of the production, I would assume.
Yes, it's been, unfortunately, like I said, because of the coronavirus, it's been a little bit longer period of time, but we do have a pretty good waiting list, and we're really anxious, I think, to get it, and people are really anxious to get us into production with it.
Well, I don't even know what to ask about the car. Does it have an automatic transmission? Does it have a manual transmission? Tell me a little bit more.
It is. We're starting with this is a driver's car. We have built it for people that really want to drive, enjoy driving, a lot of fun. So we're actually starting with a 6-speed manual, and
thank you.
Again, we have a very unique transmission, but it's a 6-speed manual. It's very much of a driver's car. However, we are making it to where you can drive it on a daily basis. I can tell you that the air conditioning works really well in it. It is easy to shift. You can be stuck in traffic on the freeway and be very comfortable. And we have, similar with the that everyone's gone to, is your flat screen that really operates a lot of the functions, and you can listen to a good sound system and go through all of the new electronic that is almost every car today now has.
And you race it in I think it's a GT4 category. Is that correct?
Yes.
So your competitors are pretty high level cars, and glad to hear of your success. Is the production one going to be relatively similar as far as content and performance?
Yes. Yeah. The one thing that I've always done that's maybe a little unusual, and it started back with the Saleen versions of the Mustang, is we've used production vehicles and actually go professional racing with them. And we do that so it improves the breed, so to speak. And it's been very well. We started, in the 80s with the Saleen Mustang, where we won our championships. I even did it with our race trucks and those type of vehicles. And then when we introduced at the 2000, when we introduced the Saleen S7 streetcar, we went racing with that. So almost the race car and the production car are almost identical in every single way.
Wow.
Are you still modifying Mustangs?
Yes, we have. We're continuing. We earlier this year we showed our 40th anniversary Mustang, which was we do 10 special edition Mustangs every 5 years, and this one was a Speed Lab yellow with a convertible with a very unique a tonneau cover that we've designed for it that gives it a very upscale and a unique appearance and the functionality of that. And then we have teased the world on showing the latest generation of the new Mustang that Ford is producing here. That'll be out in hopefully sometime later this month, but at least during the summer, we will have the next generation of Saleen Mustang that we're producing as well.
So how does that work? Does Ford send you the Mustangs to be altered?
Yes, we have our own code system since the beginning of time, back in 1984, in the Ford system. And the Ford dealer will order the vehicle and then put in our code system. The cars get built in Detroit, and then they're sent directly to us in Southern California, where we would then revamp them in 3 different flavors. We have good, better, best, what we call a white label, yellow label, and black label. And then we then will ship it in closed carrier to the ordering Ford dealer around the country, offering for sale to the general public. And the versions that we do is the white label, they all get different aerodynamics, different suspension, different interiors, and different powertrains. And the white label has started at 500 horsepower. And I know Ford has the new Dark Horse coming out, but we've actually had a little over 500 here for the last 6 or 7 years as standard. And so the new version will even be higher than 500 as our base vehicle. And the pricing, and then from 500 we go to 750 as a supercharged version. And then our top of the line black label is over 800 horsepower.
Wow.
And the only thing that we retain from Ford on that literally is the doors and the quarter panel. Everything else and the window glass stays the same, but everything else has been changed on it. That we've done extensive wind tunnel testing, racing development, CFD, and everything that we engineer, we do with purpose to actually improve the overall performance of the vehicle.
So even on this latest generation of vehicles, because I know that one of the histories of the Saleen cars is generally there's a number associated with that car. Are they all going to be numbered as well?
Yes, we have. We've actually produced over the years. We've produced pretty close to 30,000.
Wow.
Saleen Mustangs. It's kind of amazing what's actually happened here in the world of Bring a Trailer or the auction houses. Is that just last month we had one of our 1985 Saleen Mustangs, a regular Saleen Mustang that retailed at the time, I think between $15,000 and $17,000, went through the auction house at $250,000.
Holy cow!
And all of them have been numbered. We number it in the engine compartment, in the interior, and also the front bumper, left-hand side, driver's side. There'll be a number on this, and so that way you know it's an authentic Saleen which is what's helped, I think, keep up the resale value. I will put a caveat, though, is that we've never done a number 6. And the reason why is when I started the company, my wife was doing a lot of the bookkeeping. And as we were building the volume for the first year, she was numbering it, and she numbered it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9. We didn't discover it until we were like 200, 300 cars into it that we somehow missed and skipped number 6. And so we haven't. I said, you know what? We'll just never build a number 6. We built a 66, 666, and 6666 in the past, but never a number 6.
Oh,
Wow.
cool.
That is
And though you're widely known as a Mustang guy, you've dallied off into some other brands as well as some other Ford vehicles. I know you've done some of the Broncos. Now, are you doing the new generation Bronco as well?
Yes, we are in development of it. We haven't shown that yet, but I think we'll have 2 versions of that. We also are doing 2 versions of the truck. We have what we call a sport truck and an off-road version. The sport truck has complete different suspension, different aerodynamics. We add a supercharger to it to get you up to 700 horsepower. And it really is a very dramatic. And then opposite, we raise the truck up 4 or 6 inches, depending on the model, and put 35, 37-inch tires on it for more of your off-road racing. They all get different body treatment and, again, different interior. And one of the things that, as you mentioned, that we've done a lot of things in the past and continue to do that. A lot of people don't know that after we did our own supercar, the S7, is that we then had the opportunity. Ford came to me, and we did all of the final design work, the certification, and the complete build and assembly and shipping of the Ford GT. The 2005, 2006 was all built by a facility that I put together in the Detroit area, and we did that as private label and shipped that to all of the Ford dealers around the country. And then after that program, I picked up and at the same facility, and we did the subassembly and the build for the Dodge Viper. So from my standpoint, any supercar that's been built in America has actually been built by us. Now, we can say that the new Ford supercar is certainly a great car and nothing to be talked down on that. However, it's actually built in Canada. So therefore, I think that we really are a little bit more American oriented.
We love it. And I also see that that Celine is building their version of a Tesla.
Yes. Back in, we recognize, and the one thing that I guess maybe is a little bit different about us is that we have, I always look a little bit more towards the future. And in doing that, back in 2013 and 2014, we were recognizing that electric vehicles are really coming to stay. And we then started working on the Tesla and doing very similar, a different body, but again, all built from an aerodynamic efficiency and what we do on the body, a different suspension. We put carbon brakes on it, completely changed the interior to make it much more of a driver's car. And even initially back there, the we made it go faster in the respect that we changed the final drive ratio. So as people know, electric cars accelerate because of the torque, and the all-wheel driving accelerate very fast. But we made it a little bit faster by putting a different gear ratio in it, so you would accelerate that much quicker. And then we can actually add sound to it by the way that we cut the gears. it'll put a little bit of a whine to it. So people that want to have some sound with their electric car, it sounds like a little mini Formula One cars in person. You can have fun doing that as well.
Wow.
Absolutely brilliant. Steve, it's great to talk to you, to have you on the show today. It's Saleen, SALEEN.com. And I know that our viewers and our listeners on all of our different platforms really have enjoyed the interview with you today. And we sure appreciate you taking the time with us and explaining what all Saleen is up to these days. And we wish you the best of luck. And don't forget your Whittier High School reunion coming up.
That is true. And the alumni, I was inducted in their Hall of Fame a few years ago, and I joined Richard Nixon back as he went to Whittier High as well. And the other thing, because you guys are in Texas, we actually have our parts division is in Austin, Texas, that my daughter Molly runs. So we're actually in Texas quite a bit now these days, mostly in the Austin area. But so if you get a chance, or some of your listeners are local on that, we certainly invite them to come over talk cars.
Has she sent you a Keep Austin Weird T-shirt? That's what I want to know.
Okay. All right.
Steve, again, thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It was great talking to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a great history.
Wow.
What a great history. I learned a lot listening to him. I didn't realize his involvement in the 2000 generation Ford GT, which is definitely an investment grade vehicle. You look at some of those now that are going through auction at, $250,000, $500,000 each. And I didn't realize his involvement in the Viper build as well.
I was impressed. He's gone into these supercars, and he's got all these things going on, but he's still tied into the Mustangs, all the things he started with, and he knows all the details.
You see the smile on my face? I want to be him.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
We need a remote from one of his facilities.
Yeah, definitely. Hello, Austin. Yeah, just saying.
Contact Molly.
N-Wheel Time Race Card is sponsored by Texas Nostalgia Modified Production, and Conrad always has that for us.
Yep. So NHRA next weekend is the Mile High Nationals in Bandimere.
The last one.
Is that that's the final because they're closing Bandimere.
Are
you in the Mile High Club, Don?
I am in the Mile High Club
because you went there when you were doing Top Fuel.
Well, yes, that Mile High Club. Not other ones that some people may be thinking of. That's not the case.
And then July 21st, they're at Seattle. July 28th, they're in Sonoma. And then so that's 3 weeks straight on the Western Swing.
Yeah.
Pretty arduous race schedule.
Yeah.
And then August 11th, they're going to be in Kansas. Now, NASCAR, you said, is in Atlanta tomorrow.
This weekend, yeah.
They're in New Hampshire next weekend and Pocono the weekend after
New
that. New Hampshire. And that's where they win the Big Lobster.
Okay.
LOBSTA, Lobster.
I got it.
And then Formula One, 2 weekends from now is the Hungarian Grand Prix at the Hungaroring. IMSA is at Lime Rock on the 22nd of July. IndyCar next weekend's in Toronto. The following weekend is in Iowa. And then back to you, Don.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Conrad. All right. Time now for Jeff's feature this week, and that's going to be the real vintage car ads as opposed to the fake ones.
Yeah. Now hold your applause till we're done with this, everyone.
All right.
It's going to be really good.
All right.
We are men of applause.
Vintage car ads are a fascinating glimpse into the car advertising past. They offer a unique charm and humor, which is seriously lacking in today's modern ads. Car companies today can learn a lot from the folks that designed them in the past. And here we go. This first one.
I think we need to press
we do.
There you go.
This first
Thank
one
you.
Is called Gremlin's Anatomy. When you hear the word gremlin, what comes to mind first is a mischievous folklore creature known for causing mishaps. Well, this is not that gremlin, but the name of the car was produced by American Motors Corporation. This is a humorous ad for the time period. Not only did it emphasize the car's qualities, but it made sure that there was to educate the people on where to sit and where to keep their pets. Now, if you look in the lower right corner, it does say buckle up for safety in the bottom right. So this was one of those first time, safeties first. This one I pulled up from the Neaterville Gazette. This is actually for our two-wheel guys. Harley Davidson is a motorcycle company that's been in business since 1903. It's dominated the American motorcycle scene. Harley has the most eye-catching ads, and this one is a 2003 Harley Davidson. It's an FX DW G3, 16,000 miles on it. It's a nice bike. It's fast. It's pretty. Features custom grips. Great ride. Girlfriend pregnant. Wife knows. Must sell. Lawyer wants money.
That was from the Neaterville Gazette.
Neaterville Gazette. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
This one, we all needed one of these back in the day. Sleep before anything. Napping in cars can be uncomfortable, but Nash Motor Company had the perfect solution back in the day. In the ad, their cars came up with sleeping chairs that could be easily reclined for a better sleep experience.
Ron Stein's got one of these.
This ad was a hit back then and must have sold numerous units. We know that they're wondering about the seat belts. They weren't required until 1968, so no children were launched in the air when they stepped on the brakes. Can you imagine going to a drive-in with one of these?
Yeah,
Wouldn't that
baby.
be great?
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
What does Ron say? A father's nightmare about his car.
Mm-hmm. This one is for both genders. There are two. Although it's clever marketing strategy on Hearst's part, his and hers touches a sensitive nerve in the heart of consumers, especially young couples. The ad tries its best to include both genders in his campaign. His signifies that it has something outstanding performance-related features, which means typically for a guy, and hers means that she can drive it comfortably thanks to the automatic transmission.
Yeah, the his and hers was branded by Pontiac in their what's called a dual gate shifter.
Right.
Oldsmobile had a Hearst dual gate shifter as well, but they called it a dual
Okay,
gate.
this one is this is for Mike. Size isn't important. The advertisement was originally for a minivan, a vehicle that remains popular today, and true, its name is Mini. To be happy, you don't need to have the biggest things. Size isn't the measurement of satisfaction. Sometimes big things do come in small packages. Okay, now this last one, I'm just going to let you read it because this is an actual ad. So if you have a small penis, if I got a car for you. This is from Joe's Porsche. If you're going to overcompensate, then by all means overcompensate. This is a Carrera 4. It's loaded up, $89,911. Call 312-552-1676. And ask for who, Mike? Ask for Tiny.
I'm paying attention. Nobody else
I
is,
know.
but I am.
Well, and there you go. Now, there's like thousands of these things out there, so you can go and have fun, look at these, and laugh. That's what I did. It was good.
Well, that was excellent. I particularly like the motorcycle ad. The guy who's
From
selling
the Neaterville Gazette?
Neaterville Gazette, selling his
Girlfriend pregnant, wife knows, need money for attorney.
Lawyer, yeah.
All right. Coming up, we hope to have John Heinrichsey, racer engineer, and latest challenges in SCCA National Championship in a Cadillac CT4V Blackwing. Now, I don't know whether you can see this or not. Can stand up just a little bit. Look what he's wearing today. He's wearing his famous Cadillac
Racing shirt.
Uh-huh.
It took me over a year to find the shirt.
What?
And remember when we did the broadcast in Houston when they did all the racing and all that?
Yeah.
It was probably 14, 15 months later I finally found the shirt because this is what they were wearing out there in the paddock. And I got my hat right here, too. Hat.
There you go. Well, we'll have to be sure and show him.
And he's got his V-Series symbol on the back of
Oh,
his...
yeah, that's all about it.
Hey, the
back
In Wheel
of his
Time Car Talk
SRX.
Show is available 24/7 through the iHeartRadio app. Just look for In Wheel Time Car Talk. We also video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and InWheelTime.com. Podcasts at your fingertips on over a dozen of the most popular podcast outlets. Hey, the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show continues right after this quick break. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Real Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In Real Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Real Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InRealTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In Real Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Live, it's the In Real Time Car Talk Show. Coming up, John Heinrichsey, Cadillac Racing. Conrad will have the In Real Time Car Clinic, and I'll bring you this week's auto news. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars, King Conrad DeLong. We always need more Jeff Zekin. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us today. While we wait for Mars to get Mr. Heinrichsey all gotten over there, and get him. He's working on it.
Yeah.
So stand by. I have to tell you that yesterday I was coming home from work, and I ran across this odd-looking Amazon delivery van. Well, it turns out that Amazon's deployed more than 5,000 electric delivery vans from EV startup Rivian Automotive on U.S. streets, including here in Houston, as part of the online retailer's pledge to put 100,000 of the vehicles on the road globally by 2030. The milestone adds to positive news this week for Rivian, which beat second quarter delivery forecasts for the 3 vehicles it makes. The EDV van for Amazon, the R1T pickup, and the R1S crossover for consumers. So congratulations to Rivian. I guess that they're plowing through all of the problems that they've had. And are still,
and it's clear that the Amazon van is a Rivian, because Rivian has that headlight front end
distinctive look
that's on the truck. Is they share it on the Amazon vans as well. I've run across a couple of them as well.
Kathy said she saw a Rivian just the other day. Back from work.
The Amazon van?
No, a Rivian.
A real Rivian.
Rivian.
Yeah. Well, they're definitely different.
They're out.
Eye-catching. Mm-hmm. So
skateboard.
The skateboard, yeah. I don't know whether the van is, though, or not.
No,
I think it's purpose-built for
Amazon.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what let's do while we have a chance. Are you able to do This Week in Auto History?
Sure.
I got you queued up.
Yeah, oh, really? Mm-hmm. Everybody was reading my mind?
No, we were just queued up.
Oh, queued up. Okay.
It's just a short scan.
Yeah. So let's do This Week in Auto History.
So, we've been talking. Don challenged me to do something a little more technical. So couple of weekends ago, we did exhaust manifolds. Last weekend, we did intake manifolds. So I figured this weekend we'll do a little bit on the auto history. Never mind, I'm doing Conrad's Corner. So in 1910, Franklin and Spencer Strahan incorporated Champion spark plugs in Toledo, Ohio. And this is one of their first spark plugs. You remember in the beginning, spark plugs, they had the plug wire was bolted to the top of the spark plug. So that's one of the more original spark plugs that were out there. In 1928, Chrysler Corporation introduced the Plymouth as its newest car, kind of its low-priced entry car. And the logo was the Mayflower ship as it landed on Plymouth Rock. Pretty rare to find a Plymouth with that on it, but I know John has out at Hemi Hideout. I think he has a sign with this logo on it, which is quite rare. Want to wish a happy birthday to Richard Petty. He's 80. He was 86 this week, and still active and still signing autographs. They say he is one of the kings of taking care of spectators, that he'll stay till the end to sign an autograph for everybody.
Looks like he's wearing chaps in that.
Okay.
Whatever.
Might be.
Please go ahead.
And then also in 1992, the original Corvette engineer, Zora Duntov, drove the 1,000,000th Chevrolet Corvette off the assembly line in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And it was a white car with red interior and a black roof. And it was done to commemorate the the original Corvettes that were all white exterior with a red interior, the 53. So after 1,000,000 cars, here's Zora.
I have to tell you that I got the chance to meet Zora and talk with him at a Corvette expo, as it were, and very nice man. Very, very sweet man.
You have a picture,
he was
don't you?
swarmed over by folks.
Yeah.
And then in 1985 this week, the blockbuster movie Back to the Future, in which John DeLorean's iconic concept was transformed into a time travel device. And everybody remembers this car. And true DeLorean or aficionados can tell what movie this one was from, because I guess the little white piece on top kind of changed from a couple of generations through the movies and stuff. So, and then in 2005, the last Thunderbird, Ford Motor Company's iconic sports car, emerged from the Ford factory in Wixom, Michigan in 2005. So,
I actually saw one of those going to dinner, meeting you for dinner last night. We passed this up on Highway 6.
You don't see too many of them.
No.
They didn't sell
It was
very many
clean,
of them.
too. It was real clean.
It had no horsepower. I remember when they had one in the press fleet, and I had a chance to drive it, and it was nice and all, but it just didn't stand out like I think everybody hoped it would.
expected it to. Well, it was back in the day when Ford owned Jaguar, and this isn't a shot at Jaguar, but it's a fact of that car. That car was a derivative of what was called the Jaguar X car. So Jaguar and the Lincoln LS were kind of combined and sold under different brand names, but that car was a derivative of the Lincoln LX, or the Jaguar X chassis.
Didn't they have thermal problems? They had a lot of fire problems with them, didn't they?
Oh, I didn't remember that, but they were gutless wonders, is what they were.
Yeah, they had no horsepower, absolutely no horsepower whatsoever, and I'm very disappointed. It looked like, it felt like it was built well, but it just didn't look like we wanted it to look. We wanted it to be a throwback to the 56,
the eyebrows over the headlights and stuff, and all they did was the port and the removable hardtop to bring back that memory of the original car.
Okay. Well, that's all right. Anyway, so I understand, according to Mr. Mars, that we have Mr. Heinrichs. Now, we do not have his audio, but we do have his audio, and so we can hear him. John, are you with us?
I am here with you.
Well, we're so glad that you're here with us, and we are very privileged to have you on the air with us, John Heinrichs with Cadillac Racing, the SCCA National Championship, and a Cadillac CT4V Blackwing. And, you know, I have with us on the dais here Mr. Jeff Zekin, and he is a huge Cadillac fan. You can't see him, but I can tell you that he's wearing his Cadillac Racing shirt, and he brought his Cadillac hat, and he's the one that's going to interview you today.
No, I'm just in awe.
Nah, yeah, well, you've got to be able to speak as well.
Well, I'm going to mumble through it.
I can see you.
Looking at a picture of the information Mike sent, there's 5 people standing in front of the car. You're missing a person, which is me, standing in that photo. Just Clarkston, Michigan. I'm a Michigander, born and raised Detroit area. Just good to know that there's still some good, honest things going on with Cadillac in Michigan.
Yeah, they're still having a lot of fun. There's a lot of my friends at GM that are still working on the Cadillac guys and girls that I worked with when I was working at GM. I worked there for almost 40 years and spent a good portion of the last 10 years working on Cadillac performance vehicles with the Vs. So I've still got a lot of blood going on there, and the guys are really working hard to get Cadillac where it needs to be in the marketplace.
So, what exactly are you doing to the V to incorporate it into the SCCA?
Well, primarily it's changing or adding all the safety requirements. You know, we've got a cage in it and safety seats, racing seats, and that kind of stuff. Fire system, of course, and it's the interior is pretty much gutted out. So I've got racing seats, no interior seats. The door panels are gone. Front windows, door windows are gone. Replaced by nets that are required by SCCA. But pretty much I'm running the stock twin turbo V6 in the car with the automatic 10-speed, and all of the technical nannies that come along with that are all still part of the car. And SCCA has required that the car run with the stock engine control because it is making quite a bit of power, and it's probably making as much or more power than a lot of the cars that I'm competing with. So they're making the car stay with the stock powertrain. That's stock exhaust. I'm running with catalytic converters and the whole thing there.
Wow.
So is this a one-off, or are you going to build multiples?
Well, this is the first one. So we're running this year and next year for sure. And we'll see if we're building more. We obviously want to improve the capability of the car first before being able to sell more, but that's our intent. The competition is very, very tough. We're running against 991 Porsches and BMW M2s. There are Mustang, Camaros. There's even a Viper, and there are some C5 Corvettes and C6 Corvettes that are running in this same Touring 2 class. So the competition is pretty tough. What kind of horsepower does that Turbo 6 make? It's 474 horsepower
in a V6. That's and you're able to keep the thing together.
Yeah, it's doing really well, running really good.
And I assume that this is an engine that Cadillac builds or GM builds.
Well, this car was a production car, so it came with that engine right from GM.
Wow! Yeah, but did it come with the turbo?
Yeah.
Yes, twin turbos.
Wow.
The Blackwings.
Nice.
And you've got a pretty long history with Cadillac. I know I worked for GM for 21 years or 25 years as a field engineer, and had a chance to kind of not follow you, but kind of watch you over your time as you move through a few different brands. But I also know you've put a few hours in the Nürburgring as well, some of it to Cadillac's benefit.
Yeah, we took the first Vs over there. So this would be back in the 2003-4 range with the first CTSV. We did a lot of the development work for the chassis on the ring. And then with the second version of the V for 2008-9, with the supercharged 6.2-liter engine, we spent a lot of time over at the ring fine-tuning that car. And since then, the folks working on the upgraded Vs from then to the Blackwings have also spent a lot of time there. So I'm reaping the benefits of that on the CT4 Blackwing race car that we built.
John, how does it work with you and Cadillac? Do you say, look, it's just not going into the corner the right way? Do they change parts for you? Do they develop new technology for you to race this car?
No, I'm pretty much running the car the way it came. So I've got stock springs and shock absorbers and on the car, stabilizer bars. That's all has to remain stock on this car according to SCCA's rules. So I'm running pretty stock. Now, do I get some advice from them? Yes, I have a contact engineer that I can talk to, and if I've got any issues or need some advice on which way to go, then I've got somebody there who can help me with the technology, because boy, I tell you, this car has a lot of technology in it. It's got the active MR shock absorbers and the electronic controlled differential, as well as an automatic transmission. So there's a lot there that needs to work right for me to get everything I can out of it on the track. And I do get some help there with the setup.
Is there a GM representative there at the races with you?
No, I haven't had somebody at the races, but it's kind of like I refer to the Want to Be a Millionaire show, where you've got a phone a friend kind of thing. So
still got all those phone numbers to those connections.
40 years.
If I get any issues, I've got a couple of contacts there that I can. But just to give you an example of some of the issues with all the electronics on the car, if you change the wrong thing on the car, it's going to shut you down, and you aren't going to be able to get the most out of it. Even something as simple as taking the park brakes off the car, because I don't need the extra calipers on the rear suspension. It's extra weight and potentially some extra heat back there. So if you take those off, the car doesn't like it. So you have to have a way to get around that, and that's where I really
bypass it. Yeah,
help with some of those things,
even
things like airbags, and things like that. So all of that, I have to have a way to get around that so that I can run it on the track.
Where are we seeing you in the first race?
Well, I've run so far down in Florida at Homestead and Sebring, and then I ran Road Atlanta in March, and I ran Watkins Glen early in June. So I've been through those weekends, and next up I'll be doing some testing, because I've done all the races now that I need to do to qualify for the championships at the end of the year, which is the end of September. And so now it'll just be testing and preparation of the car, getting ready for the big weekend.
And that's the race he needs me at.
Yeah.
Are you guys? Is COTA on your schedule?
We looked at COTA for this year, running it in February, and we just couldn't make it. With the turnaround was too tight between Homestead and Sebring, getting the car ready for another weekend. But I definitely plan on running COTA next spring, actually, to be in the wintertime in February.
Well, cool. We'd love to find you there. Just from my point of view, I know that some of your input from the race car does get turned around into production, because I remember that first gen CTSV had a real wheel hop issue, and it was something about the indexing of one of the rear control arm mounts. And the second, I think it was the second year it came out, that indexing of that rear control arm mount changed, and I always assumed that the guys at the ring were the ones who kind of had that. Brought that to the attention of the engineers to make that change. So
yeah, we had, it's always been the case at GM. We've always worked really hard, especially in the grassroots area of racing, where the people who are racing the GM cars are running very much the car that you produce. And so that's a really good test grounds for getting information back into the engineering organization and helping to improve the breed for the next versions or improvements on the current vehicle. So that's always been the case there, and it does work very well that way.
Are you working full time on this car year round?
Well, I'm working part-time on that. There's a shop in Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. It's called Phoenix Performance, that helps with the prep of the car. So a lot of the actual prep work gets done there, although I spent last week in my own shop here in Michigan with the car all week working on it, getting it, just kind of going through everything from front to rear. So doing that. But also I spend a lot of my time working with Hennessy down in Texas and Sealy. So I've been working on the Venom F5 for the last several years. And I just got back from there last night, as a matter of fact, test driving one of the cars. So that's been another part of what I'm doing in my retirement.
Well, I guess that something happened because that plane ticket that you had here to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show must have just gone away and just went right back home.
Yeah, the Uber driver didn't miss the turn or something.
Exactly.
There's a place in Dearborn Heights called Livernois. I think it's off of Beach Daily or Cherry Hill that has tuners and hot rods and things. Do you ever work with those folks?
Yeah, I'm very aware of those guys.
Oh,
Yep.
that's like my backyard.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Well, and if I remember correctly, weren't you one of the drivers that were setting all the speed records on the toll roads here before they opened up?
Well, I wasn't actually the driver. I was helping a little bit with the setup for the cars with Hennessy, but not the driver down there. But I have been doing almost all the test driving on the Venom F5 for Hennessy. We've been to the NASA landing strip in Florida with it, and numerous places.
Yeah, I think you guys were out at the Navy base in Hanford, California, as well, as they were trying to set some speed records.
Out to Lemoore.
At the Lemoore, yeah.
That was with the previous Venom GT with Hennessy back then. Yes, I was out there a couple of times.
John, it's always great to talk to you.
We all want to be you.
I do.
Jeff wants to be you as well. Well, we hope to get to shake your hand one of these days soon, and get to meet you and bring you back on the show again.
Okay, that'd be great. I really fun talking to you guys. Where are you located? Where's the studio?
Well, the studio is in Houston. We're a suburb of Houston out in Sugar Land. And
okay, right where that is.
Yeah, next time you're in town, give us a ring and we'll have you on the show.
Take me for a ride.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time down there.
Well, good. And I hope that while you're here one day, especially out there in the Katy area, that you go right down the freeway and visit our friend John Hovis and the Hemi Hideout. I know it's not your brand, but it's quite a facility, and any guy,
he would appreciate it.
Yeah, he would definitely appreciate it. It's a
bucket list place for an automotive enthusiast to visit.
Yeah.
Hennessy knows of them very well because he does an awful lot of work on the Hemis and Ram.
Yep. Very good. John, thanks again. We appreciate you. Have a great weekend. We hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
You bet. John Heinrichs.
Interesting.
Oh, I so want to
racer
be
and engineer. All right. Well, unfortunately, we have to move on because the show is running out of time. Time now for Conrad's Car Clinic. Mm-hmm. Do you have that?
Yes, I do. Right
Okay.
here. So again, over the last couple of weeks, I've done exhaust manifolds and intake manifolds. This time we're going to do something on fuel injection. So if you kind of remember, the Corvette fuel injection system called the Ramjet was back in 1957. Go back up one.
I can't. You hit it.
The Ramjet of 1957 was on the Bel Air and available on the Corvettes and stuff. Well, this is the intake manifold from a Ramjet. Remember, we showed you what the tunnel ram looked like on the race cars?
Yes.
Well, they basically had a tunnel ram on the Corvette fuel injection system back in the 50s and 60s. So, they were, again, bringing the racetrack to production cars. And, that was 10, 15 pounds of pressure of fuel. And then they changed to, in the 80s, they changed to a throttle body injection. It worked, but not as effectively as it could have. So this throttle body injection was on all kinds of 4-cylinders, V6s, and V8 engines through the early to mid 80s. And then they went from throttle body, they went to port fuel injection. And there was kind of two generations of port fuel injections that were out there. Injector looked very much the same between the two of them. One was called a multi-port injection. So on the V8s, all 8 injectors sprayed at the same time. And then they went to sequential port injection, where each injector sprayed just before the intake manifold opened, which is kind of where they are today, which makes more sense in the fuel economy world. So the original generation of multi-port injection was fuel injection, but wasn't the most efficient of the fuel injection systems that were out there. and the multi-port and the port fuel injection systems both ran about 60 psi of fuel pressure. This being a sequential port fuel injection system, again, firing each cylinder individually on the vehicle, and this would be more of a gasoline direct injected system where you're talking about fuel pressures up to 25,000 psi. The fuel pump on these now run off of a mechanical fuel pump that's driven by the camshaft. Now, if you go back in time, back to the 50s and 60s, they had a mechanical diaphragm fuel pump that ran off of the camshaft as well. So the reason they go to such high pressure is they want to have real precise control of it. So these new GDI injectors that are out there at 25,000 psi, instead of just spraying one spray just before the intake valve opens, they do what's called a stutter spray. So it may have 5, 6, 7 injection actions each compression stroke. So, and that's trying to use the least amount of fuel with the most amount of power. The thing about gasoline direct injection and why the pressure is so much higher is they've moved the injector from behind the intake valve to down into the combustion chamber. So it has to be able to overcome the combustion pressure.
I have a question. So with direct injection, does it matter the octane of the fuel? When you said it like a stutter versus a stream, does it matter which you get with a higher octane fuel?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't run. It doesn't compensate for the fuel octane unless you have a spark knock problem. You can run a low enough fuel octane to get a spark knock problem, then it'll change the fuel system on it.
Gotcha.
And the spark system algorithms on it. But the other thing about a gasoline direct injected engine, as you can see on this one, it doesn't just have one cone of fuel spray. It has multiple cones of fuel spray. If you remember when we did pistons, I showed you the bathtub at the top of a piston. So what it's trying to do is it's trying to hit that bathtub in the top of the piston and get all of that fuel to roll up so you get a ball of good air fuel mixture right at the tip of the spark plug
to get the
and then the spark plug ignites to push the piston down. So that's some information about how fuel injection works today and the evolution of it through years.
And I will tell you that I have had very little experience with the original Corvette fuel injection back in the early days in the 50s when they came out with that. Was it the 50s?
Yeah, 57.
Yeah. And I will tell you that mechanical fuel injection system was a beast to work on.
Right.
And I knew one guy that knew that thing backwards and forwards, and it took him hours to get it right.
Tuned correctly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But once he did, it was sweet for the time period.
It was only available on the Bel Air for 1 year, and then on the Corvettes, it was available from 57 all the way through 65.
Time now for a quick break here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We'll wrap up today's show right after this. Everyone at the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex in Katy, thank you for participating in the best cruise-in around and look forward to seeing you again. You'll hear about the next cruise-in date right here on In Wheel Time. Next time you're in the West Houston Energy Corridor area, be sure and stop in at the original Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex at I-10 and Highway 6 or the Katy location on the Grand Parkway at Kingsland Boulevard. When passing through Beaumont or College Station, stop in and have Lupi's award-winning beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. There's always a celebration at Lupi Tortilla. Lupi Tortilla founder Stan Holt and his wife Sheila are winning racers on the NHRA drag racing circuit and have a collection of hot rods and classics that everyone appreciates. Look for them at the next Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise-In. The date will be announced soon and will once again be held at the Lupi Tortilla Tex-Mex on 99 and Kingsland Boulevard, just south of I-10 and Katy. We'll give you all the details right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show and online. Donations benefit God's Garage. We'll see you then. You own a car you love. Well, why not let Gulf Coast Auto Shield protect it? Houstonian John Gray invites you to his state-of-the-art facility to introduce you to his specialist team of auto enthusiasts. We promise you'll be impressed. Whether you're looking to massage your original paint to a like-new appearance, apply a ceramic coating, install a paint protection film, nano-ceramic window tint, or new windshield protection called ExoShield, Gulf Coast Auto Shield is where Houston's car people go. Curbed your wheels? Instead of buying new, why not have them repaired? How about a professionally installed radar detector? Gulf Coast Auto Shield does that too. Get a peek inside the shop and look at the services offered by getting online and heading to gcautoshield.com. Better yet, stop by their facility at 11275 South Sam Houston Tollway, just south of the Southwest Freeway, and get a personal tour. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your place to go for all things exterior. Call them today, 832-930-5655 or gcautoshield.com. The award-winning In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show is available on the most popular podcast channels out there in 30-minute episodes. We realize our 3-hour live show can be difficult to catch in its entirety, so now you can listen every day to a convenient, fresh 30-minute episode. Check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, and Audible, along with a dozen more. In Wheel Time has the most informative automotive guest interviews and new car reviews, along with popular features including Conrad's Car Clinic and This Week in Auto History, along with automotive news headlines. Our live broadcast airs every Saturday, 8 to 11 Central on InWheelTime.com, the iHeart app, and on YouTube. Be sure to say hello when we're broadcasting from the Tailpipes and Tacos Cruise In, Autorama, and the Houston Auto Show, among others. Now, it's easier than ever to hear about all things automotive all week long. You're invited to join fellow car enthusiasts in becoming part of the ever-growing In-Wheel Time Car Talk family. Don't forget those 30-minute podcast episodes on your favorite podcast channel. Well, that's a wrap for this week's In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show. When you're online, follow us on Facebook. Give us a like, if you would. Tell your friends about us and share our junk, please. We promise to keep you posted on all things automotive all week long, including new car reviews, upcoming events, cruise-ins, racing events, and other informative and entertaining car and truck goodies. Hey, you can find the In-Wheel Time Car Talk Show 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app and our live video stream on Facebook, YouTube, and on InWheelTime.com every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Central. Daily 30-minute podcasts are available on the podcast channel you use. The In-Wheel Time Chief Engineer is David Ainsley. Our Marketing Advertising Advisor and Video Technical Director is We Need More Jeff Zekin. For Booking Agent and IT Genius, Mike Mars. Mr. Know-It-All, his royalty, King Conrad DeLong, I'm Don Armstrong. Please join us for our next week's show, the Best Of show, on In-Wheel Time, Saturday, July 15th, on all of our In-Wheel Time Car Talk outlets, right here on the Smoke and Mirrors Network, 8 to 11 a.m. Central Time. Have a great weekend. Stay cool, and so long for now.
No.